it's been really awesome. I am also here with my wife, Jane. Where's Jane? She's right back there in the very, very back. And you really can't secret shop any place as just a guy. Because women see things totally different than men do, and that's really a true fact. And so it's been a really good balance having her here. I will tell you that I have, well, let me just go ahead and get going here. But a couple of things. If you see any slide up here you want to take a picture of, help yourself. You're welcome to do that. If I go too fast, because there's a lot of photographs in here, you can always say, Roger, back up that one. And I'll be happy to do that. But just to get started, when we showed up a few weeks ago, we were sitting there getting all set up. And by the way, we RV'd here. We didn't know where COVID was going or anything. And so we're part of those digital nomads you see everywhere. As a matter of fact, we're staying in Grafton at the Listico campground there. We got Bill and Matt from the Parks Department here, who has also been our UPS office as we get our Amazon packages just about every day. And, but what's interesting is everybody we've met has said, so you're here for harvest, what do you do? At first I went, harvest? And now we know. But it's been really great. But when we showed up, we were there a few hours, and all of a sudden Christy and the two Jakes, that sounds like a rock and roll band, doesn't it? Christy and the two Jakes show up with like 50 pounds of stuff. And I mean, I've been doing this, by the way, more than 35. Actually, this year was year number 40 of me doing this. When I started, I had hair. That's what this will do to you if you want to make this a career choice. But I wanted to thank all these people, and this is still not everybody. But we've gained quite a bit of weight since we've been here, going through those baskets, but it was really nice. That was the best welcome I think we've ever received in 40 years. So thank you so much. That was really a treat. But just to get going, we have been doing what we call a destination assessment. And we've been secret shopping you. So before we came here, we looked at your websites just like anybody else that might be coming to the area. We did not get any information from anybody at Red River Regional Council. Nobody gave us anything to see or do or anything. The only time we needed help was when we were trying to find a place to park our RV, because most places allow like 14 days, which they should do. And so Bill, over there made an exception, let us stay for a month. We're here for almost 5 weeks, maybe close to 6 weeks. So there you go. No interviews, no heads up, no input on anything. So we're just seeing this like anybody else would do it. And by the way, we've secret shopped 2,200 communities in 45 states, across Canada, Western Europe, Scandinavia, down in Africa, you name it. And on this trip, this is probably going to take a while, we've added quite a bit to that. And because we have basically secret shopped every single incorporated community in these 4 counties. And I had never been here before. I had meetings in Grand Forks, but had never been north of Grand Forks. So for us, this was a very first time being up in your area. And so we've gotten to know all these communities. I got to tell you, having been here for about 3 weeks, it's still hard for me to keep them straight. And I don't even know how many of these you guys have been to, but we hit them all, that's for sure. Some of them we had to go back a couple of times. And so with that, we looked at marketing. This is before we got here. Was it easy to find information about you? Was it good enough to close the sale? We'll talk about that. How did you stack up with the competition? Whether it's in Minnesota, whether it's in Western North Dakota, whether it's in South Dakota, how did you stand up? But what I'm going to concentrate on today is the on-site assignment, or the assessment. Your signage, your gateways, what were our first impressions, your homes, your neighborhoods, commercial areas, merchants, I mean, you name it, schools, health facilities. I mean, we looked at all of these things just like anybody else that would want to come here. And by the way, with the marketing will only bring people here once. That's it. the only thing that ever brings them back is going to be work, whether they're here for harvest, whether they're here for other work, whether they're here to visit friends and family. And then it's what is it that draw and your complementing activities. And I'm going to explain all this in a minute. Your amenities and the people we interact with. That's the only thing that ever brings us back. So marketing is only meant to get us here the first time. Your product is what brings us back. And so when we did this, we did not just wear a tourism hat. We wore 3 hats as a place to live, raise a family, or retire. So we wore that hat. And then as a place to work, invest in, or to bring a business. And then as a place to visit, but more than just a pass through. And we think that's really, really important. And so are the hats. And I do a lot of work in generational. So we've looked at what do millennials want, what do Gen Xers want and everything. So we're not just wearing the hats of a baby boomer when we did this. And so with that, I've worked up in Williston. We've been all over Dickinson, Bismarck, Minot, Fargo, all over the place. Matter of fact, in 2000, I think it was 19 or 18, before COVID, I was the keynote speaker at the North Dakota Downtown Conference, and I think that was in Bismarck, and it was the second largest downtown conference in the country. And there were 650 people there. And afterwards, this guy comes up to me and says, Roger, I think you're my new best friend. I have made Main Street my number 1 priority. And then his chief of staff said, by the way, this is the governor. And so it's been, and he said at the time there were like 60,000 jobs that are unfulfilled in North Dakota, and a lot of those pay like 6 digits or more. And of course I said, sign me up. No, so that was a good experience. Now, for you, there's all the towns we visited. I'm going to kind of go through them alphabetically, but I'm going to break it up. So you're not just going to hear one town, then the next one, then the next one. And there's going to be some common things that spread across all of them. And by the way, if I mispronounce something, you just go ahead and say it, because for 3 months before we came here, it was Pembina. And then so now I finally got it down to Pembina, and people say we don't even pronounce the B anymore, just Pembina. And so we're going to have some fun. Now, here's our assignment. You heard a little bit about it, but I always say that the key thing we're trying to do, what else could be done locally to make you a better place that people would move to, live in, work in, invest in, or visit? What else can we do? There's no looking back. So this is only day forward, and you're going to see a lot of suggestions. There's no recommendations in here because it would be kind of presumptuous to come here and tell you what you should do before we even talk to you first. And so that's really important. So what else could be done? It's not saying, and so there is no throwing anybody under the bus saying you should have done this or that. And remember, we haven't been here before, so there may be things you're already working on, you've just been validated. And there may be things that we didn't know before. And so one of those things is, how do you increase the population? I pulled the demographics for all 4 counties and a lot of the communities. And one thing that I really found a lot of is the fact that almost everybody outside of Grand Forks is losing population. And so how do you repopulate your communities if that's something you want? And so we pulled it. This is from Esri, 2010. This is the county, by the way. And this is what they expect in 5 years. And so it's not a rapid decline, but it's still a decline. And so that's really, really important. How can we get people to live in North Dakota? And so this means change, and it's never easy. So you're going to see some things today that you may feel are kind of painful to see, but I'm showing you from what our honest opinion is if we were going to move here. And so sometimes I can say things you'd like to say, but can't without paying a political price locally. And so this is very much, here was our experience, what we saw. And some of these places are a little bit rough. And without change, communities die. And that's something you need to understand. And one thing, if you want to attract younger people, you got to get out of the good old boys network. You have to be open to new people. And you're going to see some of that coming up. But if you're willing to embrace change, you'll get people to come if you do the things that we're going to suggest. But if not, there may be many communities that say, Roger, and I got cards right there on the table. You can say, you know what, leave our community out of it. Fine, we'll work on the other 40. Or the other 41. And so there may be some communities here that do not want change. We like it the way it is. Leave us alone. Great, we'll just concentrate on the other ones. So nobody's making anybody do anything. And these are all incorporated communities. They were incorporated for a reason, to have local control. So the last thing Red River Regional Council is going to do is try to impose something on you if you don't want it. But that's why these are also suggestions. They're not recommendations. So, to set this up, here we go. I want to give you some facts, 7 facts that are really important. And the first one is about quality of life. For the first time in American history, jobs are going where the talent is or where the talent wants to be. That never happened before about 7 years ago. Before that, we went there wherever the jobs were. But now we're saying we want to live there and we'll find a way to make a living because we want to be there. That has changed everything. So where do we want to, it's where they are or where they want to be. And I got to tell you, we're staying right here next to all of this that was happening over the last few weekends. It's pretty phenomenal. What Grafton's, this is in Grafton, what their Parks and Rec has done to program things for their community. And so the new reality is community development is leading economic development and tourism development. We're in the age of placemaking. That means making our communities about people, not cars and not people driving through. And that is really the future. Quality of life is leading economic development. So that's the first thing we looked at is if you want people to live here, what's the quality of life like? And by the way, if we have any elected officials here, and I know we do, I've met a few of you, from all these towns, from the county, every elected official, from the President of the United States down to school boards, down to everybody, your number one priority for everybody that's elected official is to improve the quality of life for their citizens. From the governor, you name it. And and thank goodness, because quality of life is leading economic development. And so your mission as communities is to be the most desirable place to live in North Dakota or in the Red River region, these 4 counties, or even in the county. What makes you the place I'd want to live? And so number 2 to this is tourism is the front door to your non-tourism economic development. That means anybody who's going to come here is coming here first as a visitor. All these people. And by the way, I've done site selection work in the past, and so when we're trying to recruit investment, we do exactly what we did. We seeker shop you. So we're not going to call you and say, why should I move my business to Forest River, or Fordville or wherever else. What we're doing is we're going to come and seeker shop you. Is this a place our clients would want to live, that we'd want to invest in, that the employees would want to live in? And that has changed everything. And nothing sells quality of life better than tourism. And so that's number 2. Number 3, the benefit of tourism is that people come, they spend money and go home. We like that. And if you bring in the right kind of people, you don't need social services. You don't need to police them. They come in, that's exactly what they do. They spend money and then head home. And so the number 1 activity of visitors in the world is shopping, dining, and entertainment in a pedestrian-friendly setting. So that's not the reason. They might be here for beet harvest. They might be here for any other reason. But the number 1 activity once they arrive is that. So are you getting some of that? And that's where 80% of the non-lodging spending takes place. Because you know what? If I live in Fargo or in Grand Forks, I could drive all the way to Pembina Gorge, spend all day there, turn around, go home, and use your facilities and not spend a dime in your counties. So that's tourism is all about getting people to spend money. That's the benefit of tourism. And so visitors, by the way, they want local flavor. That's one of my favorite restaurants. And the reason is I think she's the owner. You go in there, she cooks, she waits tables, she's a cashier, she does everything. Her hamburgers are hand pressed. So if we are driving from Grand Forks and we're going all the way up there to the gorge, wouldn't it be great if we could get people to stop and spend a few dollars? So when I talk about tourism, I'm not talking about bringing in Disney or anything big. We're talking about getting somebody to stop and eat in a local cafe on our way through. That's the benefit. And that's what we're trying to do. So if you cannot monetize your tourism efforts, then why even bother? I got to tell you that there were many days we left in the morning and we had nothing to eat till we got back in the evening because we couldn't find any place open or in business. And that is not very good if you want to attract new employees or residents or even visitors. And so that's really important. Number 4, the primary benefit of tourism, it's the fastest, easiest way to beef up your local economy. And we like that. Anything that's fast, inexpensive, that's great. The 3 rules of tourism is how do we get people to stop? That's priority number 1. Then, if we can get people to spend 2 hours, spending doubles. And then, of course, overnight stays, and let me get to that. There's your initial spending, whether it's gas, fast food, whatever. And then getting them to stop would be spending doubles, just 2 hours. They'll say, wow, we're here for lunch, or we're here for dinner, or while we're here, let's get something to eat, something to drink. But overnight, look at this, quadruples. So that's the ultimate goal. But right now, we got to work on how do we get people to even stop as we're driving through these counties. And so number 5 with this is marketing versus product. And this is the one I alluded to earlier, is marketing will bring people to you once. Now, when I did this, I wanted to explain what these are. Your primary attraction, your supporting amenities. So let's say we're here for harvest. And by the way, one thing about this, at the campground we're at, I met people from Florida, I met people from Idaho, I met people from Utah, I met people from, I think, Georgia. They're here for harvest, and guess what? They're going to earn their money in your communities, and then they're taking it with them. That's a challenge. The rain has actually helped because they're here longer. That's why I told Bill, I said, you know what? This improves your revenues at the campground. They can't harvest. But they're even being paid while they're sitting there. And so this, your supporting amenities would be restaurants, things to do, trails, those lodging, dining, all those things. And then there's visitor information. The overall ambience is what is the feeling. And then finally, the people they interact with. And our experience was with almost everybody we interacted with was exceptional. But that ambience can be a problem. Some of these other issues are a little bit of a challenge for some of you. And number 6 is locals first. By the way, if you don't hang out in your own community, neither will visitors. So when friends and family visit you, where do you take them? Do you say, let's go down to Grand Forks for the day? What do you do? Where do you take them? And that's really important. Because as visitors, we want to go where you go. And then number 7, this is what people are looking for. And by the way, this is the most important. This is done by Money Magazine, Forbes, Niche.com, and about 10 different communities. They are 10 different publications and research organizations where they surveyed people in their late 20s, but primarily in their 30s and early 40s. So basically Gen Xers and the youngest and the millennials. And this is in order of what they said was important. And what do they want? Number 1 was safety, particularly for kids. By the way, one thing you need to understand is boomers were having their kids in their early 20s. Gen Xers and even millennials are having their kids in their late 30s and even early 40s. The fathers are spending twice as much time with their kids as us boomers did. That's good news. But, so that's why you see safety, particularly for kids, because they're now getting into that range where they're starting to raise kids. So that's their number one thing, they want to feel safe. Most of your communities, that was not an issue. But if I go into a community where you have a lot of abandoned homes, we don't feel very safe, even though it probably is. It's just the feeling you get. And so I think you've got that in spades. You know, it's on your websites, Facebook, other marketing channels you use. We need to see photos like this. I remember growing up the days when mom would say, be home by dinner. And nowadays across the country is take the cell phone from you, or take the cell phone with you and don't get out of my sight. You know, and people want to go back to what this was. So you've got to use photography to address these front and center, any of these issues. So if you have, we're a safe place for families, and you have a photograph. By the way, I took stock photos here, so don't use stock photos. But that's really important for you. Number two is we want a good educational system and childcare. Okay, and I don't know how your schools rank, but people go to the website and they will say best schools in Northeast North Dakota. And there we go, best schools. What shows up? Do you show up? And actually, I think you go down here, Jamestown, there's Bismarck, Valley City, there's Minot, there's Lankin. We keep going down Devil's Lake. You know, but this is what we do. And that's how people are using the internet. There's Grafton showed up. And it got a B. That's good. And so those are the things we look for. Number three, they want an engaged community. They want to feel like, if we move there, will I be welcomed? We went into a couple of towns, and I have this big honking camera, you know, because I do a lot of photography. And a couple of towns, what are you doing here? Why are you taking our pictures? It's like, Jane reach over, lock the door. No, just kidding. But still, you know, it's like, whoa, is this what would happen if I was going to move here? See what I mean? And so that's really important. We want to feel like we belong, that you're welcoming, that you're accepting, that you're open to new ideas. That needs to be on your website. I mean, you need to tell people that. We want to see community pride. And what we do, you know how we judge community pride? Your houses. So, Park River, beautiful house. There's the dog out front. I mean, this is what we do. So you're going to see a ton of photographs of pictures we took that are judging you on quality of life. And overall, like Park River is like, wow, what a nice place. I mean, we put it on our list of our best, happiest places that we saw, you know, and of course we're here the right time of year. But we'll also go downtown and we'll look at these things. We'll also look at things like your trail system that several of you have. Park River, we kind of found it by accident. There's no real signs for it, but it's there. And we found it. We saw moms with their strollers walking down there. And your first impression is, this looks like a really great place to live. See what I mean? That's how important first impressions are. I mean, we also want to see positive change. I took this in Conway. Conway, there were 3 houses that I'm guessing it was a practice burn with fire departments to get rid of some of the dilapidated changes. We want to see positive change. So when we come into a community, we see that they're erasing these old homes, probably a practice burn. As a matter of fact, this one was still smoking when we got there. But at least it shows, okay, this place is open to change. So we look for those kinds of things. We look for buildings being wrapped like that. So those are the things, if we don't see any change, we're going to assume that you're not open to change. And so this is how people judge you, will judge you. You know, this in Grafton. Now that looks like that sign's been there for a while, but hopefully that's going to happen. Those are things people are looking for. And then number 5 on that is we want life after 6 p.m. Did you hear that? Many of you roll up the sidewalks at 5. Some of you don't ever have the sidewalks open, basically. But we're looking for things to do after 6 p.m., you know, and so in Grafton, I got to tell you, there were times I could go right out on Hill Avenue, the main drag, at 6:30 in the evening, stand in the middle of the street, and nobody would ever hit me. I mean, it was just rolled up. This I took in the middle of the day. You know, number 6, we want recreation, surpassing competing areas. This is a big challenge for North Dakota. Of all 50 states, you have the least amount of public land. You're at like 3.9% of your land is public. The next lowest state is like 20%. So that is a challenge you have statewide. But you do have some great assets. And they need to be, you need to put these on websites. You need to promote them. I mean, whether it's golf courses, whether it is those lakes, whether it's fishing. I love the fact that, once again, Grafton Parks and Rec, if you want to go out there and do paddle boats in the river or kayaks or whatever, they've got them there. And so when we sit there, I mean, look at that. That's awesome. So all these photos, you need to put these on your website so that people could see there's more than just municipal information. And number 7 is quality health care, particularly for kids. And I got to tell you that when we arrived here, we were in West Yellowstone, Montana before we came here. But for like 2 months, I'd had horrible earaches. And I don't know, I had some infection. And I went to a doctor in North Carolina where we were. And then I went to the doctor in West Yellowstone. I never could get rid of it. I go here to the family. Actually, I walked in the front of the hospital in Grafton. And I said, yeah, I hear, and I don't know if you have a care clinic or urgent care, but I have an ear infection. She goes, oh, you need to go around to the family urgent care section. I didn't know where it was. And I said, well, should I walk or drive? And she goes, oh, you might want to drive. It's like 300 feet. I'm not that old. I walked around the corner and went, really? So anyway, and by the way, the gal, she was probably a nurse practitioner. She said, well, did anybody give you a topical? Did anybody? She went through the stuff and she said, okay, I want you to run over to the drugstore in Grafton. So you can see tourism just isn't about tourist spending. It's things like grocery stores, medical clinics, gas stations, you name it. And within 24 hours, I was better. I had to come to Grafton to get decent health care. Woo! So, you know, and then walking, biking trails, pathways, school transportation is going to be important to these people. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, Jane almost every day walked this little trail around Lisco Park. Am I pronouncing that right? Okay. I didn't know it was a list. You know, at first it was Lice to Cow, and then Lease to Cow, and then Lease to Co. And so anyway, we're getting there. But I can't tell you how often we walked on that little trail. And then we want housing availability, affordable, and quality, not just junk. Now, one of your biggest problems there is most of your communities, we couldn't even find a house for sale, let alone one to rent. So that is going to be an issue. We're going to talk more about that. But starter homes, move-ups, nice neighborhoods, downsizing, I mean, that housing is going to be a big deal for you, including commercial buildings. You have little downtowns that are never going to come back. And now there's young people that will go into these commercial buildings and build live workspace. And so even those can be an opportunity, you know. And then you notice something different here? Jobs was number 10, not number 1. If you have a place they want to be, they will say, I want to live there. Now I got to figure out a way to make a living. Whether they commute, whether they create their own. So all they need is opportunities. So if you have opportunities for people, list those. Here's opportunities for small business. And I think that could really, but that is the big change from the boomer generation and prior generations, is that jobs is number 10, not number 1. That's how important quality of life is. And so, here's our experience. And the first thing I want to talk about is myth busting. Then I'm going to talk about quality of life, then tapping into tourism, and then commerce. And so when it comes to myth busting, this is a North Dakota situation. People think North Dakota has no trees. Really? You think you're like, Iowa or something, but Iowa has trees too. And it's bare and flat. These are things that we found that people think about North Dakota, generally speaking. And after being here, that's why I said, really? And so we started to take a look. Look at the following photos, and what I want you to do, pretend these are in a different state. I want you to see your communities through our eyes. And so you can do this. Pretend like these are another state. Imagine people in the photos, because most of the photos we took did not have people in them. And so imagine people in these. Like this, I show a trail here, but you get it. By the way, with photography, we relate to people more than places. So if you show a couple jogging down the trail, you go, wow, that looks like fun. That looks nice. Okay, some of you are saying, no way. But still. And what's your perception? Does this look like a nice place to live? By the way, I'm giving all these photos to the Red River Regional Council. So you may say, can we take the ones from Forest River or from Park River, wherever, and can we use those? And yeah, you can. So you're going to have them, although I prefer you take them with people actually in them. But are there any trees? I mean, we didn't see a community anywhere that did not have trees. Now, what happens is people might come up 29, and they're judging the whole state by that. They don't realize if you go 30 miles west, it's totally different terrain, and you don't have to go to Medora to find trees. And so, I mean, look at this. This is Adams. I mean, look at this. Now, I got to tell you that one thing I really appreciate about the Red River Regional Council is that they provided exceptional weather for us, clear up until a few days ago. I mean, there was a day out there. By the way, we're from Seattle originally. We live in the Phoenix area. There were 2 or 3 days over the last 3 weeks where it was hotter here than in Phoenix. We were out there when it was 91 degrees, and people go, are you in the right state? I mean, people have this perception that you're the frozen. Your weather isn't any worse than Green Bay, where they have lake effect snow, or Iowa, or a lot of those places. But there's this perception, And so, but look at these pictures. I mean, Fordville Dam. Guess what time of year we got here in? I mean, look at that. I'm going, and people think fall color in North Dakota. No way, you have to go to South Carolina for that. And it's like, yeah, guess again. But just look at these photos. Now, if you can imagine a couple of kids playing out there. I mean, these are what people, if I was to show these photos at some other conference, say, guess what state? They'd probably put North Dakota as the dead last state they'd guess. Maybe Iowa, maybe, parts of Illinois or something. But generally speaking, they wouldn't have any clue. I mean, it just goes to show that if you have photos like this on your website that rotate around, that all of a sudden people are going to have a different perception of you. Nothing can change perceptions faster than photos. Video's even better if you can. But every single one of these towns, we're just going, this is amazing. You need to load your websites with these kinds of photos. It is so important in everything you do. And by the way, you're going to see a lot of those, like tons of them, like 150. We ignore those little numbers, but those are all, number one, is a suggestion. It's just an idea. So load your websites. It's not a recommendation. It's an idea. It's a way for you to change the perceptions of your communities. Show homes with permission. Say, hey, was it okay if I put a picture of your house? We're not going to post addresses or anything. And we just want to show what the quality of life is here. And then community assets. By the way, Wayne's Variety Store, which, by the way, can't even read the sign. I'll get to that. But that's a great little store. It's practically a mercantile. But sometimes we show pictures of buildings. And what you do is cities, you always show your gateway sign. Really? That's what you do. Picture of the Grafton gateway sign, picture of the Park River gateway sign. And it's like, you know what? You need to show us what it's like to live there. And that's what's really important. That's a great little store. Always include people enjoying activities. And no stock photos. Okay? I mean, please, there it is. I had to go grab a few of these just because I couldn't stage the photographs for you. But when people see photos like this, if it said Park River, one of your towns right there, immediately my perception is this looks like a nice place to live. And you have to change the perception. This is something this whole state needs. I mean, I would show kids on that merry-go-round or a kid coming down there and a mom or a dad standing there. Those are the kinds of things that could sell. I mean, I went to your websites. Adams doesn't even have a website. And by the way, some of these towns are so small that I'm not sure why they're still even incorporated. I don't know if you generate enough tax revenue to do anything. And so maybe you need to revoke that. But Adams doesn't even have a website. I can go to Wikipedia, MapQuest, best places to live in Adams, but then there's nothing there when I looked, and so you may have to create a website. You could even have a high school student do it. If you use Wix, Weebly, WordPress templates, you can get one for $20. You can build a website. We'll provide you the photography, and then you might get some new photography as seasons go. And by the way, you should do photography all 4 seasons. Don't just show us during fall color like I'm doing or during June, but also show what it's like in the winter. But it might be ice fishing, it might be fat tire biking, whatever. But you could do a website for hardly any money. And cities need to do that. Work with high school students, volunteers, tech-savvy seniors. There are some out there. And I love Cavalier, which is in the next county. But they have, and by the way, nowadays websites are what we call visual first. So that photo will cover the whole screen no matter what size monitor you use. And you could have websites where these photos rotate around. But if I go to, and here's Ardoch. The only way I could find it was in ghost towns. It's not a ghost town, but that's the only website I could find that had anything about Ardoch. And so that's a challenge. Like Edinburg's, this one's not even mobile friendly. Mobile friendly means the website will rearrange itself to fit on a mobile device. If you're not mobile friendly, Google will knock you down in the listings. And by the way, the website and by the way, no offense, this is from this day forward. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus and say, boy, we did a bad job with the website. But I got to tell you, as somebody looking for a place to live, I'd say this website is very dated. See what I mean? And so those are how important this is. Surprise, Fordville doesn't have a website. If it does, we couldn't find it. By the way, 84% of people will never go past the first page of search results. And if you're a city, Google will always put you as number 1. So I'm pretty sure they don't have one. I was surprised considering they got some great tourism assets. You at least came your Google listing. This is free. This applies to businesses and cities. If you have a mayor or somebody go in there and claim, you can add your own photos to this. Google's free. It just takes some time to add to those listings. Photographs. Grafton. There we go. There's the gateway sign. So on this website, if it was me, this is all a bunch of text. It looks dated. No offense, Grafton. This is where I probably have to pack up the motorhome as soon as we get back today. But it doesn't inspire me. By the way, you may say, but it's a city website. Well, you know what? If we're looking for you as a place to live, we're going to go to your city website. As a matter of fact, we're more likely to go to your website than we are the state's tourism website. And by the way, with Rendezvous Region, one of the challenges you have, over the last few weeks, we watch the news almost every night because we want to see what they say. And of course, the news is coming from Fargo. And they always will say, north of Grand Forks. Or they'll say Lakes Country. Or they'll say Devil's Lake. Never once do I hear them mention anything about these 4 counties. And it's because, and that's like Rendezvous Region, if I was looking to live here, I don't know how I'd ever find it. See what I mean? let alone most people don't even know how to spell it, rendezvous. You have to say there's a Z in there, you know. And so you should have every one of your websites, so I'm not just picking on Grafton, should have, for every 50 words, there should be a photo. And nowadays we do these scrolling websites that are very, very nice. And then, you know, there's Minto, great swap out photos for lifestyle shots rather than just show a building. You know, but at least it's fairly easy to use in their case. And I like this. You know, it actually, there's this building we're in right there. But rather than just show pictures of buildings, show quality of life. Instead of gateways. I love the water towers, my second favorite one in the region. You know what my favorite one is? The smiley face in Grand Forks. But once again, I would have more photos and I'd make them more lifestyle shots. You know, place to call home. I would avoid cliches because there's 19,500 cities, towns in America, and I could pretty much claim any of them as a place to call home. See what I mean? What you have to put there is it's a place to call home, which I think is nice. At least it's inviting. But it doesn't tell me why I should pick Minto over anybody else. You know, Park River. Once again, we have to do the municipal thing. Yeah, we have to show the gateway sign and nothing else. And so I just think that it's really important that your city websites look like tourism websites. They should be full of photography. You know, and then, you know, where and how do we, here it says you can now visit Park River virtually via Facebook. Check out the great job Mike Owen has done with the virtual tours. We never could find any virtual tours. So they're there somewhere, but we couldn't find them. And so, you know, and that's, of course, on Facebook here. And so what began in early October has started to take shape, a citywide virtual tour of Park River. Is that even done? It is? Where is it? I couldn't get it on Facebook. Nobody knows. Okay, I'm going to move on. But notice, this is Grand Forks. And you might say, yeah, but Grand Forks is 100,000 people in their statistical area. This is a WordPress website with a template that's like $80. So you can't say just because they do it, you know, and by the way, even on their website, it tells you all the city stuff, but it doesn't tell you why you should live in Grand Forks. So even they are missing that. But at least it's a visual first website. And it says, I want to, where's the one that says live here? See what I mean? But you could do it. And it's inexpensive to do. But I got to tell you, you got to do photography like this. You know, this is what people say, wow, our kids would love living in Grafton because of what the Parks Department does. I mean, I got to tell you, our RV is right there. So we got front row seats to that, and it was awesome. Matter of fact, I'd go over to the Park Department and pick up my daily Amazon packages. Yeah, that's, you know. And Bill would say, you know, we're playing music on the weekends. Is it okay? And I'm like, no, I love it. Turn it up. You know, but they're really conscientious about that. But it was really awesome to watch all the families there. Of course, the weather was fantastic. They had the food truck. They had everything there. And they even switched it out by weekends. They had llamas. So it even changed by weekend to keep. And even during the week, school buses would be there with kids. That's quality of life. These are the kinds of photographs that will get people to move to your communities if you do these kinds of things. And by the way, this is what people do. I did Fordville. Anybody's interested, they're going to go right to Google Images. They're going to scroll this, and they're deciding about you from Google Images. When you start loading up all these photographs on your website, they're going to make it on this page, and it's going to paint a different picture. You know, I can't remember. Let me back that up again, and let's see here. Fordville. So I'm going down Fordville. I'm going down the website, or I'm just looking at pictures, trying to find pictures. I can see in the winter there. Looks like there's a nice church there. Looks like we got a little grocery butcher store there, you know, but this is what we're doing. We're deciding about your community based on photos, and these photos are picked up off of your websites. That's how important this is. So there's the first, there are no trees. We proved them wrong on that one. And then it's barren, flat, and desolate. I mean, by the way, do any of these lakes have names? Why do you call everything a dam? We're from out west. I saw the first one said like, Fordville Dam or Macville Dam. And I was expecting like Grand Coulee Dam. And so I'm going, I would call this Fordville Lake. I mean, the lake is what I'm looking for. I don't care about a dam. But all you have is these damn signs everywhere. Anyway, but if you just look at the picture, does that look like North Dakota in what people's perceptions are, that it's flat, barren? I mean, and then right across from Fordville Lake, I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was a trail there? I don't know if it's probably privately owned, but I kept going, man, if there was just a trail along there, and if it floods, fine, trails can work in a flood zone. But I just kept thinking, look at how beautiful this place is. I mean, you got a wildlife park right in the middle of Forest River. I got a kick out of that, I love that. And so, I mean, just look back to the golf course in Grafton, and they're not the only ones with the golf course. There's Listicle, the park. I mean, I don't see, I know Western North Dakota has all these terrain changes, but this is just Listicle Park. Even the gardens there are fantastic, even Hoople. I mean, people, I don't think people have a clue about you. Matachek, am I pronouncing it right? Oh, good, I worked on that for 2 weeks. But, I mean, it's stunning. It's stunning. I mean, I look at these. I mean, I just think it's amazing what you have. Wouldn't it be cool if there's a trail? Look at that. I can't even imagine the bird hunting, the deer hunting, and I don't know what the hunting is allowed with so many private lands, but I mean, you get 30 miles west of 29, it's an entirely different thing. And that's what people don't. They're judging you by what they see as they're driving through on their way to Winnipeg or wherever. And I'm going, not so fast. It's the frozen tundra. Embrace the winter. I would love to see you market your tourism by pick your season. We're open year round. Now pick your passion. And your passion might be skiing at Frost Fire, fat tire biking, snowmobiling. But I got to tell you, I would come up to people, even in Grafton, in your communities, and say, it is so beautiful here. And you know what they would say? Well, you haven't been here in January. I go, really? Really? Come back in January. I mean, this is locals. I got to tell you, we live in Phoenix. And when they say, wow, I'm here in January, it's incredible, I don't say, well, you should be here in July. Matter of fact, I always say for 8 months of the year, we live in the Valley of the Sun. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. Yesterday, it was 72 there. And then the other 4 months, we live on the surface of the sun. But for some reason here, every time I talk about the beautiful weather, they say, but you haven't been here in January. And nobody says that in Arizona. Because number one, they're gone in July. We're up here. And so, I mean, it's a frozen tundra. I think that's just locals spouting their own displeasure of you in the winter. It's boring. I mean, hardly, if you can imagine somebody with a stand-up paddleboard right here, I mean, that wouldn't be boring at all. Or in Park River, if there was somebody standing there fishing, I mean, whatever it is, always show people doing activities. Or they're out playing golf, and whatever it is, these are activities. I mean, I love this. Is that cool or what? They have a little train that goes through there. And by the way, I wanted to get on that train so bad, but it was always full. I just said, get out of the way, kid, my turn. No, it didn't. But, I mean, it's amazing. It's not boring. There's nothing here. I have to tell you that these 4 counties blew us away. Honestly, blew us away. I mean, really. But with this, we could easily spend a week in just Walsh County just exploring things as a tourist without ever having to leave and go somewhere else. I mean, look at this. It's phenomenal what you have. And really the bottom line of all this, none of these states have anything over you. You have to get out of the self-deprecating mode as people. I mean, a little bit of that comes from Canada. I'm always kidding. We work a lot in Canada. And they're always very polite and everything like you. Very polite, very nice. And if you compliment them, they always come back with a non-compliment. You know what I mean? And so you just got to get rid of that. You have nothing, I mean, over all these other states. You have everything over these. You know, and so that's what's amazing. And by the way, influencer marketing is where you should be going. This is third party tooting your horn for you. And these days, influencer marketing, these are blogs, video blogs, YouTube channels, Instagram, all of those places where they're saying, my gosh, if you go in Northeast North Dakota, I know what you're thinking, but guess again, and then you show little videos and things like this. It totally changed everything we expected when we were here. You know, I mean, and that is so critical. And by the way, what I have in there, ongoing love affair, why Grand Forks is one of our favorite places to visit. Now, wouldn't it be nice if there was one of those for Park River? And these influencers are out there. You know, Less Beaten Paths of America, 10 giant reasons to visit North Dakota. I mean, these influencers are there. And they need to see you. I mean, you know, look at all the top Instagram influencers from North Dakota. So that's something you can do. And I would love to see you, this could be a rendezvous region, tourism thing, but I want to show you a little video. This is a gal named Gabriella Viola. She's young, she lives in Lake Tahoe. Now, in the winter, the only reason people go to Lake Tahoe is to ski. But if you're a non-skier, she says, I'd give you 10 reasons why you should come here besides skiing. So let me show this to you. Let me show you.
In this video, I'm going to be sharing 10 awesome things to do in Lake Tahoe in the winter besides skiing.
And she's a photographer.
What's up, guys? I'm Gabriella. For those of you who don't know me, I am an outdoor photographer currently living in beautiful Lake Tahoe. I make videos on mostly Lake Tahoe, so if that's something you're interested in, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when a new video is up. Alright, so with that being said, I'm just going to get straight into the video. Here are 10 awesome things to do in Lake Tahoe in the winter besides skiing. Here we go.
Number 1 is paddleboarding. It might sound surprising, but the winter months bring about glassy conditions due to less people and less boats on the lake, making it an ideal time for paddleboarding and kayaking. Number 2 is Chickadee Ridge.
Thousands of people go there just for this.
Off Mount Rose Highway, you don't have to hike very far for these friendly chickadees to fly right up to you. Number 3 is Monkey Rock. The hike to Monkey Rock is beautiful any time of year, but the views are extra special with a little bit of snow. Number 4 is snow sledding. 2 places that I would recommend for sledding that also happen to be free are Schooner Junction and right across the street from Emerald Bay. Number 5 is Emerald Bay. Emerald Bay truly looks like a winter wonderland when it's covered in snow. Added bonus, there's a hill for sledding right across the road. Number 6 is ice skating. South Lake Tahoe has Heavenly Village, and if you're in North Lake Tahoe, you can ice skate at North Star, Squaw Valley, or Tahoe City's Winter Sports Park. Number 7 is Sand Harbor. Sand Harbor is one of the busiest beaches in Lake Tahoe during the summer months. But in the winter, the crowds are gone and you will have this beautiful spot all to yourself. Number 8 is Heavenly Village. Heavenly Village in South Lake Tahoe has something for everyone, including shopping, bars, restaurants, and ice skating. And there's lots of fun, cozy Christmas vibes if you visit during the holidays. Number 9 is Cave Rock. Cave Rock is a short hike with stunning 180-degree views over Lake Tahoe. If you're in South Lake Tahoe, definitely add this spot to your list. Number 10 is Hidden Beach. Just north of Sand Harbor is Hidden Beach. Framed by snow-capped mountains, Hidden Beach has rocky alcoves and beautiful turquoise water. This also happens to be one of my favorite beaches on the East Shore. I wanted to throw in one bonus activity and a great one.
And I'm going to go on from there. She finished that in a couple minutes. But can you imagine a little video that says, if you're here in September, you can see some of the, I'm going to give you the top 5 fall color viewing spots in September. Or wildlife. Can you imagine doing little videos like that? And they're hard to find in North Dakota. But those are the kind of things, you need somebody that's young, that's good on there to do this. It could be a high school student, but somebody that's a voice. And by the way, she doesn't work for Lake Tahoe Convention and Visitors Bureau. She's just a photographer, but she does a great job. Matter of fact, she emailed me and said, how come you keep showing all my videos? I said, because I want them to contract with you and to come do it. And people are starting to do that. They're getting her to come. But I think it'd be best from a local perspective. So, with that talks about photography thing. I want to talk about quality of life. And I'm going to go town to town what we saw. And so we'll start off with Adams. These are in alphabetical order for the most part. But nice gateway sign, instead of 100 years, promote an event. Because that 100 years was 2005. I mean, it's like, really? 16 years later, I'd take that little sign off the bottom and give us a reason to come back if Adams ever does an event, or even just put something there besides 100 years, 2005. You know, and by the way, it says 100 years, July 15th, 16th, and 17th of 2005. So I'm not too sure what that sign's even about. But, you know, it's a nice gateway sign. I think it looks nice, but once again, I don't know, is there like a county fair? Or no, it wouldn't be the county fair. It would be, I don't know what it is. And so that's something you could change. It wouldn't be too expensive. And by the way, we got a pot there, but there's nothing in it. So it's always good. You know what I mean? You have to remember, you live here. I can't assess where I live because I know it too well. But now you're going to see what we saw through our eyes with our initial comments. And our comments are going to be like anybody else coming and checking you out. We did see the nice picnic shelter there. It looked very nice. We looked at different homes there, trying to find out, you know, what they're like. The church. I mean, you have beautiful churches in these counties. We were like blown away by them, and very nice. But then we start seeing stuff like this, and all of a sudden we start going, yeah, I'm not so sure. Now, we've worked with many communities. They will go to this property owner and say, look, if you have titles to these vehicles, if you just give us the titles, we'll have a junkyard come in and get them all, and we'll take them all away for you. You know, so there's some things you could do rather than be heavy-handed and say, you need to clean that up, we're giving you 60 days. You know, but most towns should have abatement ordinances. You know, but once again, when we see stuff like this, we're going, yeah, I'm not so sure now. And that's really sad. And so I even thought, you know what, when you have under 200 people in your community, chances are your downtown's not going to come back. We're in the age of Amazon. 50% of all American households pay the $120 a year for Amazon Prime. I mean, it's just not really going to come back. And by the way, cars are a lot different than they were 50 years ago, before we had air conditioning in every car, and before we could hand the kids a cell phone or an iPad and have them entertained on our way to Grand Forks or Fargo or wherever we're going. And so some of these you might say, well, maybe it's time for us to tear down buildings and narrow and make the lots out so we don't have big, huge, wide street. And then we raise the buildings and make these new home opportunities, or sell some of the commercial buildings for residential. You know, but that was, Adams was like, yeah, okay, well, we saw that one. Then Ardoch. I mean, you know, we see the sign to Ardoch, and the very first thing we see is on the left side of the street, we see what is kind of an RV park. But on the other hand, I wouldn't stay there. Number one, we're 20 feet away from 81. And the other thing is it's also a storage lot. But maybe they're there just for harvest. But we're making our first impression of a town. We see a sign. What do we see next? I see that on the left and this on the right. Now, this building could probably be worth a fortune in Barnwood. I mean, I would work with the property owner and just say, look, can we sell the building? We'll give you 30% of the proceeds. We're going to sell it for Barnwood. And somebody will have to dismantle it, and they get the barnwood, and then the owner will clean up whatever's left. Either that or you do one of those practice burns. But that's not coming back. But we need abatement ordinances. We need to have some teeth to something to get people to change. Because our first impression of Ardoch is, no way. I mean, and it's sad. There are people living there, and you know what? It's in such a prime location. I mean, I just go, wow. But this is what we see. You know, and there's nothing worse than seeing a criminal defense attorney billboard in the middle of your town. I'm just joking, but still, I mean, it's like, okay. You know, I mean, but that's great. I mean, I don't know how I put that in there twice. Maybe I thought that was in Adams. But, you know, I mean, this is another building in Ardoch. You know, obviously these are abandoned, I think, I would hope. I mean, but the roof's falling in, private property. I mean, these are what we see. I mean, just think of these if this was somewhere else that you were looking that you might want to live. And this is what you saw. You know, I mean, look at the roof on that. I think somebody lives there. But, you know, I just don't know what to tell you. But this is how people are going to judge you. So if you want change, you got to make change. I mean, this is one town. You know, and I don't know how many abandoned vehicles you could have in one town. I worked in one town called, it was in Nevada. That Washington Post called it the armpit of America. And it was Battle Mountain, Nevada. They called it the armpit of America. The people got so mad that they wrote nasty letters, but they went out and cleaned up 40 tons worth of junk. They got junkyards to come in, auto wrecking yards to come in, and they just started getting rid of stuff. And so I just want you to see, this is how, and I didn't look for these places. I'm just driving through and taking pictures of what we see. And I tried to take as many good pictures as I could, bad pictures. But in some of these towns, this was 75 or 80% of what we saw. And so this is how, you know, we judge you. You know, and when we see boarded up windows, and I don't know how you get in that front door. You can see they put a little concrete block right there. But these are things we notice. And so it's just about cleaning up. This looks like it could be a nice house. The front door is not very accessible, but we do have a side door here, and maybe they're working on this. I don't know. I hope they get working before we get to this winter. But this is what we see. And we're judging you by the cover. No offense. You know, if I keep going here, let's go to Conway. Population just 21. You know, there's their gateway sign. They could probably use a little better one than that one. And that's, if they may say, we don't care, we don't want people here. I don't know. This is a good sign up in Crystal. And so I'm just putting there, a sign like that is not that expensive to do. And I think that's a great sign for them up there. And then, but this, I don't know if this used to be a church, but now it's a home, or if it's still a church. Couldn't really quite figure it out. But then, once again, I see cars that look like they've been there for months, if not years, and in numerous locations. So if these towns want growth, if you want new residents, you got to start by looking in the mirror. And for locals, they probably don't even notice this stuff. But for us, it's like, okay, I'm not so sure. And by the way, a lot of these could be condemned eminent domain just for public safety issues. Whether it's a fire trap, or whether there's asbestos or lead paint, or whether it's a hazard if kids or something go crawling in there and the roof falls on them. I mean, we saw too many of these, that are just abandoned. And you gotta take them out. They could be practice fire burns. Heck, in ones like this one, the brick might even be salvageable. And so you've got to take a look at these. And I mean, it was almost like, well, maybe this could be a tourist attraction, it's a ghost town, but it's not a ghost town. And so you're just seeing photographs, what we saw. And you can judge for yourself, is this a place you'd want to live? Is this a place you want to start a business? Now, if they were raising a lot of these, or they were doing those practice burns, then we'd say, okay, they're cleaning it up. I could be a part of this. You know what? This whole area was founded by homesteaders. You could take these lots and homestead them. There are cities everywhere now that are doing that. They're taking out homes and they're condemning the properties, and then they say, we'll sell you the property for $1 if you build a home on it in the next 36 months and have it completed in that time frame, or 24 months. And so sometimes these may be new opportunities to get new people to live there by creating new homesteading. This, I thought it was really cool over there. They got the, what is it, the planetarium, where the telescope is. And I thought, that's pretty cool. I don't know if it's been used for years, and I'm not sure about the house. It looks pretty sad. But those are what we see. I just thought, man, there's an observatory. Maybe that could be a tourist attraction. I don't know. I doubt if anything's in it. But I thought, well, that's pretty cool. But even buildings like, look at that. It's got like a new roof on it. Man, somebody could save this unless it's already too late. But I kept going. These are maybe a redevelopment opportunity. There's many times, and this has taken place there. They need to do the one back there next, and maybe it's on the schedule to do. But when we see these, we say, okay, they're cleaning it up. I want to be part of this. So if we see the change, it can make a big difference, like right here. By the way, that's a gorgeous piece of property. But rather than just burn it down and give it to somebody who obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, but probably doesn't care, and they're long gone, maybe it's time to buy this property. If you condemn a property, you still have to pay the assessed value for it. And then you put it out there for new people to come in and homestead the area. So let's go to Edinburg. We're getting a little bigger population now. Edinburg, I see there's a campground. It could use a nice gateway sign. But we went to the campground. Yeah, it was a little bit, probably one we wouldn't stay at. It was a little bit crowded. And some of these campgrounds are like year-round residents living in them. But once again, homes, beautiful gardens right there. Looks like they got golf carts right there. I mean, that's nice. So we're starting to see some nice things. So now all of a sudden, we're saying, okay, finally, whew. And by the way, we didn't assess these in alphabetical order. We kind of did it around the county, kept going around in circles until we got to the middle. But once again, in Edinburg, we're starting to see some nice places. That's beautiful. So you can see what our first impressions are. The school looks nice. They have a nice sign for it, which we did see. And so these are the kinds of things. You need to have these photos on your website to show what it's like. The community center looks very nice. And it is Edinburg, right? Not Edinburgh, okay. And so, I mean, the Lutheran church looks good. After a while, we kept saying, oh, look at that, another Lutheran church. You know? And so Fairdale, and I'm going to go through these because I am going to come back to all of these and talk about tourism and commerce. But Fairdale, founded in 1905, that's great, nice sign, good first impression. By the way, always put your gateway signs where you make the good first impression, not necessarily at the city limits. Okay, always where you make the first good impression. So we saw the sign, then we saw this. I thought that was really cute, what they did with a little tricycle by putting the basket on it. That shows community pride. And then showing pictures like this of a mom with her kid. And she's going, what are you doing taking my picture? She didn't. She was very nice. I'm sure she was curious. But once again, that's nice. You know, but then we see the flip side. Now, if this garbage can is here because they're going to demolish this home, then you could put up a sign that said this home is being taken down for a new home or something that shows change is happening. But the garbage can looks about the same shape as the house. You know, and if we keep going, I mean, it's like, no, the roof looks decent on this. It's got some shady areas, but we just see things falling in disrepair. And so we had a good first impression, and then we got it kind of canceled out. And it only takes one or two bad things to cancel out the 20 good things we saw. And that's what's sad. But there's commerce there, which is great. We were surprised there was so little in Edinburg. As a matter of fact, I think the population was like 181. We couldn't figure out where they lived. We couldn't find that many houses. You know, and so, well, let's keep going. Here we go, Fordville. Okay, now we got Fordville here. And so here we come into Fordville. Now, one of the things about Fordville is the welcome sign looks like a cemetery marker. It's the polished granite, and I'm going, no, I think I'd probably use a different sign. You know, but once again, I mean, it's decent, it's fine. Got playground equipment right behind it, which is nice. It creates a good first impression. And, you know, it's got nice playgrounds, everything. It looks like it's well maintained. Nice pole banner, welcome us to Fordville. I would paint the pole though. You know, this pole right here kind of cancels out the pole banner. And so those are the things we notice. So this is about you. When you go home today, you're going to see your whole community through different eyes. Matter of fact, I usually get emails from people who say, you ruined my life. Now everywhere I go, I assess them. And so, I mean, nice house there, landscaping, the pots, the planters, the little wheelbarrow over there on the left. I mean, so we're seeing some good things in Fordville, you know, and this looks very nice. People care. And when we see this time of year pumpkins out, we know there's some community pride. And so in Fordville, we had a good first impression. I mean, these are great. Look at that. I mean, this is awesome. And this is stuff we notice, you know, and it might be different times a year. But it just made us go, okay, we like this place. You know, the city hall, little bit rough. You know, I always think City Hall should always set the example, like by weed eating around there, you know, maybe some paint on there. And then our deal was, is it even used as City Hall anymore? I don't know. But those, you know, a little bit rough there. And you got the fire district, you got the post office, which I think is great. Once again, the posts need to be painted. Sometimes it can even be like Eagle Scout projects. And so, you know, overall, a nice town. Now, you know, and I'm going to tell you more in Fordville coming up. But Forest River, population 121, roughly. And by the way, these populations might be different. I don't know what's happened over the last 3 weeks or whenever those population counts were done. Hopefully they're growing. But once again, and by the way, I took more pictures of play equipment in these few weeks than I probably have in my entire life. And it's been nice that the communities have these kind of amenities. Nice landscaping there. I mean, pretty, you know, they care. And once again, you can see these are nice houses. They don't all have to be mansions. They just have to be where somebody cares. You know, and so we thought these were a great job. I mean, really cute, you know. They look like, well, it could use a little paint, but you know, who can't? And so, you know, here we go. The American Legion is there, and it has better landscaping than any of the retail buildings. And that's, retailers need to get that, and you're going to see that coming up. Now we come to Grafton. So I put Grafton last here just because it's a little bit, well, no, I did it as in alphabetical order. Now, do we see the welcome signs? This is heading east into town on 17, I think, yeah. And we see the Grafton sign. It looks nice. I mean, I'm not real fond of concrete. It has no personality. But it's not a negative. So I wouldn't go change it. But but we did see Marvin Windows. That shocked us. I go, whoa, Marvin Windows is here. I didn't have any idea. And so that was like, whoa, that's good. And it's spotless. I mean, of course, we saw, you know, the flip side of this that says they have like $2,500 signing bonuses, you know, and so we kept coming in downtown. But like these signs, abatement. I would give them 120 days to either fix it, put a sign in there, or take it down. You gotta have some kind of teeth, because we had a good first impression, and then all of a sudden we get that, and then we get the blown out sign, then we have a temporary sign here, we have another temporary sign here, we got another temporary sign down here, and by the way, you should have ordinances that allow temporary signs for 2 weeks only by permit. And you can do it up to 4 times a year for special promotions and sales. But these, I think, are just out there all year. And it just creates blight. It just doesn't say. And after a while, you know, 12th Street Bowl, call for open bowling or book parties. I mean, these days, nobody's going to call you. Heck, we text our friends and say, is it okay if I call you now? Right? I mean, you know, so I just think, okay, enough already. So also we went from a good first impression to start going, uh-oh. This is how people are. Judgmental we are. You know, I love that. Welcome to spoiler country. And I see there's room to grow there. That's awesome, because 2012 was a long time ago. So come on, Grafton. But I saw some that their last date was like 1984, and it's like, you probably should take down the sign if nothing's happened in the last 30 or 40 years. So, but anyway, that's great. This is coming into town the other direction. If you're coming from 29, that looks fine. It's in a good location. We saw every kind of residence you can imagine. From that, which it's like, whoa, okay, to smaller homes. We saw this. And I'm glad these are in one area. I've seen some of your towns where you can build whatever you want, wherever you want, and that can create challenges down the road. But at least this was organized. It wasn't bad. You know, we saw cute little houses like this. I mean, Grafton has wonderful neighborhoods. And I'm not going to show you a ton of pictures, but we saw, I mean, that's just beautiful. It just was really nice. I mean, I think this is down by the high school. And we're going, yeah, like that one, we're taking notes, you know. Yeah, okay. You know, I mean, look at this. So it was very nice. So we thought, wow, the quality of life, that one there for sure is like, okay, we want that one. But beautiful landscaping, just really, really nice. Very well done. And then we saw the county courthouse, right? And that's beautiful. You can tell the time of day we were there, sunset. You know, it was like, whoa, look at that. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal. We had a great time. Look, the Red River Regional County, there it is. That's how we found them, by accident. I mean, remember, we were secret shopping before we met anybody. But that's how we found out where they were at. And that's great. You know, the high school, we were there, 77 degrees. See, you need to take those pictures. With snow on the ground, still 77 degrees. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But, you know, with this, I mean, it was just, that's at the end of September. I mean, you know, and I don't, you know, these people are probably not students anymore, but it looks like a great high school. I mean, the Centennial Center looked awesome. And even finding the high school we did by accident, and we got to go there and we watched a JV football game. But it was great seeing the stands, the people there cheering on their kids. I mean, this, for us at Grafton, has a really good quality of life. Now remember, we've been living in Grafton for the last month. And so of course we saw what the Parks Department does, but this just really solidified it. And then, of course, you got the medical center. Remember, if you go through that list of what they want, this was on those lists. And it doesn't mean you have to have a hospital, but if you have a medical clinic or something that's at least accessible, that's fantastic. So quality of life in Grafton got really, I love that, where dogs bring people. That is so cool. But even things, by the way, millennials have more dogs than any generation in U.S. history. And having a dog park, even in a town of 100 people, could be a good thing to get people want to live there. But I thought that was awesome, what they did there. And of course, you can play disc golf, and I mean, it was just fantastic. The river, I mean, then you've got, you know, the whole park is fantastic. And so, Bill, do I get a discount now? No, just kidding. Just kidding. This was really touching. It's a monument to people who have lost children. But to see that in a park and see that angel of hope there, I just thought was really, really touching and really, really cool. And you know, when people have an emotional reaction to something in your community, a positive emotional reaction, it endears us to you. I'll always love Grafton. I think it's downtown, needs some work. We're going to get to that. But I mean, we just thought, this is a great place. And yes, we get it the time of year, so this is not a negative. We see, but you have a pool, and we get that they're going to be closed or empty this time of year. But the fact is, these are all community assets. I mean, they have these in downtown and everything. All these photos should be on your websites, because we would go, this looks great. And right now they have nothing to judge you on. And even like that, you know. And so, you know, there you go. Every town should have programming. And that's why I give Grafton Parks an A+ for programming. And that's even how everybody, you know, and I'm granted other ones probably have programming too, but programming, it's one thing to have ball fields and parks and everything. It's another thing to spend all the time and effort. I went over to their office one day because they're there basically 7 days a week while all this was going on. And I said, you guys ever get any time off? He goes, no, not really. Maybe when it rained, that helped a little bit as far as getting time off. But pretty incredible. I mean, even if you had these, even in a downtown setting, and I'm going to show you examples of this, but they had every kind of activity there, and the people, the kids, the food trucks, they're having a great time. You could hear kids screaming, you know, positively screaming, not in a bad way. And you know, and for us, it was like, this is so awesome. And that is what it's all about. I mean, I love those. Those are great. We were sad to see them take them down. They even have a zip line. I can't really go on that because my feet would touch the ground, but still, it was fun seeing those kids, just that little zip line, and somebody would hold them as they zip down to the other end. I mean, these are the things. I mean, there's a sandbox full of corn kernels, you know, and they're sponsored by people. I just thought, this is awesome. And so in Grafton, we had we get to look right at all of that. And so that's our office. So Hoople. 227. You know what? Tatertown, USA. They're the only one that had a brand, actually. Now, I'm not so sure that's going to say, whoa, Tatertown, let's move there. But at least they have something, you know, nice sign. It's in a good location. Again, they got the Blue Knights, you know, state baseball champions, you know, and I thought that was good. The school looked really good there. Sorry, I'm looking this way. I got to see these two. My computer's so far away, I can't really see it very well. And so, but once again, really nice homes. I mean, I love the barn there. I just think that is so cool. Well kept up. Love the colors, you know, like the purple chairs they had there. Look at the decorations. These are towns that you just go, nah, I love this place. You know, it just looked nice. And I think they do a really good job. I mean, beautiful homes. You know, and this is in fall, and I know it's going to look a lot different in the winter, but whether we're in the spring, the summer, or the fall, fantastic. You know, I mean, just a really good job. These are photos you need to show. You know, if the people say, it's okay if you put our house up there, we're proud of where we live. You know, and just have them rotate through just so people can see what it's like to live there. And once again, we understand what time it is. So for us, it's the fact that you have a pool. Not the fact that it's full of leaves this time of year. We get it. Once again, the playground equipment, you know, and it looks good. It's well maintained. The lawns are mowed. The swing sets. I mean, it just looked good. And we noticed those kinds of things. And you've got the water there, you know, which we thought was great. You know, very nice. I mean, that was our first impression, going, yeah, this is cool. I love this town. Lankin, population 90. I'll go through this. We say it right here. The good news is cell tower. For us, digital. Did you know there's 2 million people live in RVs full time? And we look for cell access. Coming up for you, one thing that's really going to help this area of North Dakota is Starlink. That's Elon Musk's low orbiting satellites, which they already have have 500,000 beta testers. That's going to bring high-speed broadband internet to everybody, no matter where you're located. For us, it's really important that we have cell access. So for them to see that there was a positive, not a negative. You know, and so you can use a nice gateway sign. Right now it says Lankin, and then right to the right, it's like, people come here to die. So what I would do is just move the sign. I know that that's probably the city limits. We've got to put it in the city limits. But then, you know, you need the additional sign. And there it is right there. I mean, once again, July 8th, 9th, and 10th, 2005. What is with 2005 in these towns? What was it? Oh, that was their centennial? Okay. And so, because there's nothing that says that. But very nice. This is across from ag, I don't know what it's, grain elevators or whatever, seed elevators, whatever. Very, very nice. You know, we did see this, and I was going, well, that's interesting. I don't know. I think they're pulling the rocks out of the ground there so they could till it. But at first I thought, wow, those rocks could be pretty cool in somebody's landscape, or it could be like what is it, Death Valley, where they move by themselves, you know. So saw that there, great. Now, one thing I would tell you about all these towns, we saw American flags everywhere. And I got to tell you, for most people, that's a good sign. It's glad to see some place that still loves this country if you watch the news every night. And so that was really nice. Now, this, we saw the Czech wagon. And I thought, if this was a Czechoslovakian community, play it up, you know. But anyway, I saw the Czech wagon. That looked really cool. I thought that would be really cool. And by the way, a real slide. Instead of those little short plastic ones, I was like, okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. I didn't, but I should have gone down these slides. I went, now we're talking. So, you know, beautiful trees, peaceful, relaxing, just loved it. I just felt relaxed. You know, I love the old truck. I think that is so cool. And it's in good shape. I don't think that's abandoned at all. You know, but once again, it's got the pumpkin scout, got the color there, the barbecue's out, there's the American flag, you know, and so overall, great. I mean, even there we go, there's American Legion there. We've got the memorial, Armed Forces Memorial right there. Nice park. I mean, overall, we're going, yeah, thumbs up, Lankin, this is great. You know, and so it just gave us a positive impression. Now, so Minto, here we go. Okay, Minto. Anybody here from Minto? Okay. I'll try to be nice. No, I'm kidding. Minto is great. Great town. Did love the water tower. There you go, except for the one in Grand Forks. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And once again, beautiful homes. You know, and just everywhere we went. I love this little truck that actually is turned into a planter. I thought that was pretty cute. But these are the little things that we notice. We know, and one thing I love about Minto, there's actual color. I don't know what it is with most of your communities. Why does everything have to be beige, brown, and gray? So, just loved it. I mean, I just think this is a great town. And I mean, look at that. That's amazing. It's somebody's house. And so you're just seeing photographs as I whiz through these that just tell you what we saw and what we thought of. By the way, we even have gnomes in this one, I think. So, you know, but overall, I mean, we just thought this is really nice. And one thing is they do have a trailer park, but it's over in one area and it's combined and it's confined to that area, which I think is good. And it has some little rough ones and some decent ones in there, but I was glad to see it was in its own area. The school looked nice. I mean, it just looked nice. And so and by the way, we judge these things, you know, by the cover. And by the way, incredibly beautiful church. Those darn Catholics. They really outclass these Lutherans when it comes to building churches, don't they? No, I'm kidding. Catholics really do know how to build beautiful churches. But anyway, it's just beautiful. I mean, just architecturally and just a good, you know. Now look at Minto City Office. See what I mean? Looks like, wow, this place really cares. This place is really happening, you know, and of course, and daycare. See, remember that list of those 10 things. And it looked very nice, and it was busy. You know, I'd love to know where the trail, there's like a trail there. I think that's a trail. Most of your trails don't have any signs on them or anything. And that's something you should do. You should mark your trails. You know how long it is, where it goes. But in Minto, this is cool. That was one of the coolest things we ever found. And probably people from Minto are going, how did you even find that? And we in every town, we tried to go down every single street in every town. We did drive 2,400 miles in 4 counties. And so, that is so cool. And I thought, you know what somebody could do? And I love this. I love it. 25 cents a gallon, but $4 for tax. Just a little jab at, you know, fuel tax. I thought that is just so cool. And I thought, you know what? You want a private site? Somebody here could do this. I would love to see a little book called The Hidden Gems of North Dakota's Rendezvous Region. And I'll show you one. This is Door County, Wisconsin. A guy did this named Richard Rusnak, and he was a contractor. He did 101 things. I want you to do just the hidden gems of the Rendezvous region. Like that would be a hidden gem. And then you say, if you find this hidden gem, and by the way, it's private. So you don't want to go up and knock on it. You just want to go there and take a look at it. And then while you're in town, stop here and have lunch. See what I mean? Always monetize it. But what he did was really cool. And this little book is only about this size. It cost him like $4 to print. And then he sold it for like 10, and they sold it at like state park offices and everything for like 15. But our favorite Sunday morning starts with a breakfast at White Gull Inn on Main Street in Fish Creek. Splurge on a slice of their famous Door County berry sour cream coffee cake, sold, right? Then take a much-needed stroll down Cottage Row. From the White Gull Inn, follow Main Street to Cottage Row and turn right. The walk will take you north along a shoreline cottage about 1 mile before it turns up the steep bluff. At the base of the bluff is a sliver of a park known as Champagne Rock, named for the little rock that hangs out over the water. Down and back is a perfect way to walk off breakfast, start the day. Isn't that awesome? So Wisconsin State Parks did a survey. They said, would you mind if we surveyed you about this little book? And they did it for 2 years. 92% of the people that bought this book came back multiple times just to do those. So I thought, I'll bet you there's some hidden gems. We just happened across one. But I thought that could be really cool for somebody to do. I mean, it could be, you'd work with them, small business. So this could be something that could be sold on Amazon. You could sell it at local gift shops. You could make it at visitor information centers. would be great. I just like doing the hidden gems in this area would be really cool. And it would get people off of 29 and 81, which would be really a great thing. So, there you go. And nowadays you can print them in full color for like $4. So there's an idea for somebody. So now, there you go. $8, $15. And so here we are, we're back in Minto. Beautiful park. Loved it, playgrounds. I mean, there's even kind of a drive behind the park. And it was just beautiful. I love that picture with the water tower and the baseball diamond, which is in really good shape. Well maintained. We saw the Veterans Memorial there at this park. And it does have an RV park. And a lot of your parks are even lit for night play. That's important to put in your marketing, that you have lit ball fields. That's pretty outstanding. But nice stand back there in the corner. You can see behind home plate. And this is the first ever obstacle baseball diamond we've ever seen. So you invite people to have a picnic out there, sit on the benches while they're playing a game. Isn't that cool? Obstacle baseball. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I think there was probably some event or anything out there, but I was too good an opportunity to pass up. Off to Nash, population 37. There we go. Here we come, Nash. We're in town. We got commerce there. Of all the towns, this is the one we would avoid first. And no offense to Nash, this is what you see. I mean, I cannot believe that this is still there. We got old ambulances, and I mean, you see it. You know what? If we hadn't been doing an assignment or an assessment, I would not have even turned the right turn into the town. I was right there on the highway. I would have said, that's it, done. I mean, I don't know why that's still standing. I mean, it just shocked me as a matter of fact. Why that hasn't been a practice burn for a fire department I have no idea what's holding it back. But once again, this is what we're seeing. And even the homes, I don't think anybody lives there. I hope not. But it was pretty sad. And so, these are the challenges. I mean, that looks like it. I think somebody lives there, but it doesn't look like anybody's mowed the lawn for a few years. I'm not too sure. But then you feel bad for the people that do live there that actually put out the pumpkins. But what happens in a case like Nash, the negative outweighed the positive by far. And that's really sad. And I feel bad for the people that do live there, that do care. And now we're into Park River. Nice gateway sign into Park River. That's fantastic. We did see the path. We actually walked down it. I don't know, does it have a name? You should give it a name and call it something. There should be signs along it that say it goes for 2 miles or whatever. Promote it. I think it's a great asset. I love it. It's got little seating areas. It's got trees between it and the highway. I love the fact that St. Mary Fall Bazaar, October 3rd. I imagine that's those Catholics again. Yeah, those darn Catholics. They're just out doing you guys. No, anyway. And so I thought it was really nice that it did that. It's a reason to come back. Always create invitations to come back. And of course, it's got the pool in Park River. We saw that. Looked very nice. It's got the hospital right there. The high school looked fantastic. I mean, we just had good first impressions of Park River. Even looks like a skating rink there. It's got the obligatory, this is at the school, by the way, really nice playground there. And then we do want this house. I'm not so sure we could ever afford it, but that's out by the golf course, just beautiful. And we start looking at you. I mean, the houses look great. I mean, there's every kind, every style. And so, what would your first impression be if you'd never been to Park River before? And this is what you saw. Great baseball diamond there, stands in it, and I mean, everything. The American Legion. That is the coolest Quonset hut on the planet. That's one of those hidden gems. Just get a picture of that. I just think that's just so cool. Even the gateway, look at that, it's the carriage. I mean, these are the fun things that you have, that people, that endear us to you. And then, is it Pisek or Pisek? Pisek? Like, almost like a Z instead of a S, like Pisek? Okay. Like what? Like Pisek? It's Pisek. He's trying to confuse me. No. So, there it is, Pisek. So there you go. It can use a gateway sign. Beautiful church again, which was really nice. You know, nice homes again. There's the dog. He's watching out for me. What the heck are you doing? You know, just really, really nice. So these are the things that you need to post. These are the photos you need to post. These are the things that show quality of life. Love that sign. I mean, there it is. Welcome, and here's our playground. I think they've done a nice job. Picnic shelters, you name it, you know, and that, what, is that a house? Yes. Oh my gosh, I went, woo! I love seeing, because a lot of you have schools that aren't used before, and I just thought that is really cool. That is just stunning. I just thought, yes, rather than there's a lot of schools in your area that are like just sitting there vacant. And I just thought, somebody did something, that is fabulous. So, that was quality of life. I'm going to go right into tourism and go through the same thing again. These will be a little bit short. We saw this in Adams. I have no idea what it is. There's no interpretive sign, nothing. But maybe there's a story that could be told by doing an interpretive sign there. It doesn't mean it has to be open where you walk into it. But when was it built? I mean, it looks like somebody's taking care of it, but I have no idea. And by the way, when it comes to museums, we have Destination Development Association, which Red River Regional Council belongs to. They have videos about telling stories. So to always tell a story, don't say this was built in such and so lived there and it was donated by. We want to know what it was like in the middle of the winter living in a log cabin like that. Tell the story of what it was like. And I think that would be great. We love a good story. Whether it's sad, heartbreaking, humorous, tragic, uplifting, we love a good story. And so that's going to be really, really important for you. And I'll give you one example. This was in Elko, Nevada. Population 20,000. You can see right here. By the way, I had them change the sign because you couldn't read it. I did an assessment of them. I said, you can't even read the sign. The next week, it was that. And so, but what happened is, I went into this museum, and they said it's $6. Excuse me, $6? I mean, for a museum, a local museum? They said, yes, but you get an all-day pass. So you could leave for lunch and come back. Really, the average museum experience in America is 20 minutes. Yeah. I'm saying, okay, so I paid. And in one wing, they had the Wanamaker Wildlife Wing, but in it, they told the stories of how a lion kills a wildebeest. They tell you how it did it, how it brought it down. They would tell the stories rather than just show these animals. I mean, I stayed in the wildlife ring for 3 hours. And guess what? I left, had lunch, and came back. Who knew? And I went into the other side, was the historical. But they tell the Hastings cutoff. They tell about these incredible stories. I mean, you know, they would talk about branding irons, but they would always, like in this, in the West, marking a beef with a red hot iron is like placing a 4-footed stake under lock and key. Now, in this case, they told a story about this guy. First of all, they had their cattle down in a valley, and it was all fenced off, but the cattle were disappearing. The gate wasn't open or anything, but the cattle were disappearing. They went down there. They couldn't see human footprints down there, so surely they weren't rustled. There was no carcasses, so it couldn't have been wild animals. And so finally the ranch foreman said, okay, I need you guys, a couple of guys to go stake it out. So they were in their sleeping bags on the side of a hill overlooking the valley where their cattle were. And first night, nothing happened. The second night, in the middle of the night, they could hear somebody down there, whoop, 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 whooping and hollering. Somebody was rustling their cattle. So they got out of St. Bags, rushed down the hill, and there they caught Crazy Tex Hazelwood wearing these fancy shoes so they wouldn't see his footprints in the dirt. I spent the whole day in this museum. You got to tell stories. Don't just show artifacts. And so, Fordville. How about Fordville Lake, you guys? Quit with the dams and just call it Fordville Lake or Lake Fordville. I think Fordville Lake sounds better in this case. And so we checked it out, Fordville Dam, recreation area. The dam, I mean, it's worth, this is worth a better sign than that. I mean, this is really a cool place. And by the way, okay, this drove me crazy. It says Fordville Dam, 1.5 miles. So you drive 1.5 miles to another sign that says it's 3 more miles. You drive that 3 miles, then it says it's another mile. Talk about reeling us in. I mean, the way it's supposed to work is you start, it's 5 miles, and then you count down. So anyway, that should say 5.5 miles. So. But I got to tell you, it worked. So, and then that should say 4 miles, and then that can stay there at 1 mile. And it is fabulous. It is really beautiful. I mean, the first thing you do is you pull in. First of all, you got like 25 signs to read. Because you got that one over there, stop, read, stop, read. Then we got that sign, and then we have another list back there. You could probably simplify this a little bit. But once again, I thought that's great. Welcome. It does say welcome, and thank you, enjoy your stay. So at least it does do that on that sign. But once again, we could use probably some beautification there. And I just thought, and by the way, I put fame there. Every one of your lakes, not dams, every one of your lakes should be known for something. Is it walleye? Is it bass? Is it stand-up paddleboarding because you don't allow power boats? Is it ice fishing in the winter? Every lake should have its claim to fame. Because at the end of the day, I would love to see you market our top 3 walleye fishing spots. And by the way, people always look for best fishing spots, best ice fishing spots, best hiking trails. We always look at that. So if you start ranking them, but every lake. Now, if you said this is fed, what is this? What would be a good reason to spend time on this lake? Anybody?
Ice fishing.
Ice fishing. Okay, what about in the summer? And by the way, ice fishing, what do you catch? Perch. So this might be, best perch fishing in Walsh County, or in the Rendezvous region. Now, does that mean nobody can go out there and stand paddleboard or kayak? Of course not. But what you're doing is making it worth a special trip because it stands out. It's the place where you can get it's really known for its perch fishing in the winter, maybe during the summer. I don't know. But once again, look at that. It's gorgeous. And so this whole thing for tourism is just a tremendous asset. And that's why it shocked me that Fordville didn't even have a website, considering this is their signature lake, their signature tourist attraction. I love this, which was donated by somebody. But I'd love to see a sign that says, do I need a fishing license? Where do I get it? Where can I get bait? This is monetizing it. Where can I get these things? And maybe there's some place in Fordville where I can go. Has a great dump station for RVers, got a great RV park. My one challenge with this RV park and many other ones is it's full of locals and no visitors can go there. It's 100% full. And we found this at Stump Lake and other places too, where if I'm, as a visitor, you should have like 1/3 of the spaces open for people that won't stay more than 2 weeks rather than just say, and I get it, everybody's paying every month, so it's our check. But I think about tourism spending more than the locals who, I don't know where the people live, if they live in, Grafton or Grand Forks or Fargo or wherever they live, and they just keep these out there and they go out there on the weekends, you're losing some revenues where we could monetize tourism. So I think that would be a good idea. It's a beautiful RV park, but it was 100% full. And you could tell these people are there to stay. Okay, so with tourism in Forest River, I mean, this I thought was great. I mean, local flavor treat. I thought she was really nice. As a matter of fact, we ended up there with a conversation with a guy that works on farm equipment. He lives in Voss, and he asked me, why aren't you doing Voss? I said, it's not incorporated. You know, but it was really interesting talking to locals that hang out there. And that's what we want. We want some local flavor. I love what she did out there with those little baskets and the little minions. I mean, I just think it was really cute. And so, you know, I think it's great. Grafton for tourism. Fair Oaks Golf Course is absolutely gorgeous. It looks great. One of the challenges with all of your golf courses is there's no signs that says, is this open for public play? Do you have a pro shop? I think they do. Do you have a restaurant? Is it 9 holes or 18? Do you have club and cart rails? It just says golf course. And every one of your golf courses should have a sign there that says, we're open for public play. You know, we have a pro shop. We have a restaurant or snacks or whatever you got. Sell it. And I think that would be great. It's a great clubhouse. I mean, and it looks awesome. It just looks great. Now, we're driving around Grafton. I see you're already laughing. And I see historic Elmwood. I have no idea whether that's a historic district or what it is. So we saw the sign, we turned right, and then we end up going down to a dead end. It says wildlife viewing area. So is this Elmwood? So then we went, okay, I don't see any Elmwood anywhere, and I don't know if wildlife viewing is the Elmwood, you know, I don't get it. So we went back and tried to follow another sign that says Campground Historic Elmwood, and it's got the binoculars. So once again, we end up driving down the same street, and somewhere here's Elmwood. I don't know if Mr. Elmwood lives in this house, or if this is the Elmwood Historic District. I mean, I don't see anything anywhere that tells us about anything called Elmwood, because that's Oak Arbor. So after a while, we're going, okay, let's see, we got to figure this out. And then we saw this bridge, and so we thought, well, I wonder what's over that. And that bridge looks a little rough. And we went over there, we saw the river, and it looks beautiful. And then all of a sudden, we turn to the right, and we go, oh, is that Elmwood? Yeah. How would anybody know? And by the way, this is how you're greeted to Elmwood. Is it ever open? Ever? Forget COVID. Was it open before COVID? Is it open after COVID? It is when? There's no signs, there's no information, nothing. There's not even, you got a brochure holder that's empty. And it's been empty the whole month we've been here. See what I mean? And by the way, we had a big map of Grafton. Elmwood is in a completely different location on that map. It's like 3 miles apart. And so we went over there, and it was somebody's house. And so those are a bit of a miss there, but it looks like it would be pretty cool. Now, we did see this. And we thought, now that's cool. We got this log cabin there. We've got beautiful barns. We have this whole heritage area. Is this ever open? Anybody? Was it open before COVID? Will it be open if we ever get past COVID? So those are the kind of questions. This looks phenomenal, but it looks like it could be an attraction. But really there was, I mean, I don't know what Jugville is or what Jugville Museum is. There's not even interpretive signs. And I think this could be really cool. I mean, I imagine there's a merry-go-round in there, am I right? And while it may not operate, you may have just an interpretive sign. This is a merry-go-round, and we open it during the summer if you ever do. But instead, the only thing you get, if you go around to all the buildings, you will finally find a little teeny sign that says tours by appointment only, call, and you give me 4 phone numbers. I don't have anybody's names. I don't know which one. Is it like potluck? You just go down the list. You know, I mean, and for visitors, there's no 701 area code there. And remember what I said, we're not going to call. There's no QR code that says take us to the website where we can get the hours or whatever. And by the way, it's not going to work if you do appointments only. I mean, you may get 1 or 2 people, but that's what he said. And by the way, if we're a visitor, we're coming in, we're not going to wait for 2 days to come back. See what I mean? We're already here. And I doubt if these people are saying, well, I'll be right there. You know, these are probably volunteers, really nice people, volunteers to do this. But once again, I would love to see you guys do a brochure called North Dakota History Trail, or a Northeastern North Dakota, whatever, Rendezvous Region History Trail, and that would tie these together. But all these museums, they say, okay, we're open every Saturday from 10 till 4. I mean, if that's it, but we need some consistency. We found historical attractions everywhere, but by the way, we never found any that were open anywhere outside of Cavalier and Icelandic, you know, and across from Icelandic. And so, you know, Northern Lights Archery Club, we also saw that. With that brochure, this is a little brochure, historical attractions, and I guess I didn't put it in here, but doing a little brochure like this that would have all these historic, you could do a trail around, even just in Walsh County, to historical attractions, but we need to be open. You need to be open so that we can leverage this. And I may have this somewhere else in there, but it's a good example, what they did. And so we saw there's an archery club in Grafton. We saw there's a curling club. Once again, there's no signs. I don't know if these are open for visitors. I don't know if they're ever even open, but add some additional signs. You know, and so here we go. This is it. This is this brochure. This was done down in Olympia, Washington. So it's about an hour south of Seattle area. And they had all these museums. And like, I mean, would you drive an hour to see the house Bing Crosby was born in? Would you? No, probably not. Sorry, Bing. But the point is, if you could see it and 9 other little cool museums, how cool would that be? So what they did is they created a little map on this brochure. And by the way, each museum paid $200 to be in this. It's just 2 colors. It's black and brown. And those are, so all those colors, just a 2-color print job. And what they did is they paid $200 each. And then they started distributing this. What's really phenomenal is what happened. There it is, about $200 per museum. And they tripled their attendance by cutting the collective marketing budgets by 2/3 by doing this one brochure. Wouldn't it be cool if you did a Rendezvous Region history trail? But you need to have interpretive signs. So if we're not there on Saturday between 10 and 4 or whatever day you decide you're open, and these museums need to work together. And I understand we're in COVID and we don't seem to ever be getting out of it. But sooner or later, these could be a big draw to your area. Because even millennials actually like museums if you tell stories. Don't just display artifacts. And so Lankin, a fairly nice RV park, but it'd be nice if it would look more than just a parking lot. I think a lot of these RV parks are mainly for harvest, is what I'm guessing. I heard from a lot of people, they just rent out the whole RV park during. And by the way, these should be listed. When we were planning our trip here, we hardly ever found any of your RV parks even listed on like Campendium. And so we have a video, once again, that you could watch all about RV marketing, because I don't have time to do it now. But like right here, you know, it's Matachik Dam, it's there, but there's no photos. Michigan City Park, you know, Michigan, North Dakota, Fordville Dam, no photos. And so this is Campendium. It's like TripAdvisor for RVers, but there's All Stays, there's Good Sam, there's all these clubs. And for anybody that's in an RV, it's like religion. By the way, RVers. I want to talk about that for a second. Last year, they sold 500,000 new RVs. This year, they're expecting to sell 580,000, and it isn't just COVID. It's been going up every year. It is huge, and RVers don't want Fargo. Sorry, Dawn. Was it Dawn that went to Fargo? Is that you that went to Fargo? I tried to. She tried to go to Fargo. But most campers want the rural areas. I mean, when you live in a rural area, you probably want that. But once again, you have to be listed. You can include your photo. This doesn't cost anything. And so this could be a Rendezvous Region project. Welcome to Matashek Dam. 7 rustlers. I have no clue what that is. Does anybody know? It's what? Store? 4-H. Oh. 4-H. So 7 rustlers is the 4-H club. Okay. I was going, where are they? I was trying to find the rustlers. There had to be 7 of them somewhere. Okay. It is a beautiful park. And so Standing Lake, claim to fame, what's the best? Here's once again, you know, is this a great kayaking lake? Is it stand-up paddleboarding? Is it perch? Is it walleye? Is it bass? Is it something? You know, but it's just beautiful. I mean, great beach area right there. I mean, these are beautiful. However, we had to go. We had no choice. And it was really, really rough. Somebody, someday, should go up there and hose these out. Now, and so, yeah, it was like, okay, paints kind of a bad picture of you. And then there's a little picnic area, and that's what we saw, the shovel. I'm going, how many dead bodies are here? I don't know what the heck that is. The shovel's there, that's there, and it's like, I'm not going down there. I don't know what's in there. I mean, it's okay, I'm just giving you our first impressions. Needless to say, we decided not to have a picnic there. Since the graveyard was already dug, we didn't want to end up in it. No, I'm just kidding, but I don't know what that was. I was like, whoa, what is that? You know, and once again, I mean, it's just stunning. Just beautiful. You don't have to go to the other side of the state to find this. Look at that. I mean, by the way, we have kayaks with us. Unfortunately, you made us work the whole time, Don. No, but we thought if we were going to go kayaking, we would probably pick this because you could see the shoreline really easy and it had terrain and it went back in and around. I mean, it looked phenomenal. You know, Minto, you know, once again, I love that sign. Sorry it's out of focus, but it says 1 block west, open summers on Sundays, tours by appointment only, so I don't know if that trumps the other one or if I can still come here Sunday 12 to 5 and you're open. But once again, I thought it was awesome. They told us right up front when you could go there. And we did go there, and really, chain link fence with barbed wire. When we see barbed wire, we automatically assume your community is not safe. And that should be like wrought iron. And by the way, they make wrought iron fencing that's now vinyl, so it won't rust in your winters, or like the rain we've had. But I just thought, really? You have... And it's razor wire, not just barbed wire. And so for us, I'm sorry, the museum looks great, but I'm going, I didn't think this town was that unsafe. That's the conclusion people are going to draw. I don't even think chain link fences should be allowed in downtowns. It just makes you, this looks like a jail more than a museum. Maybe it was at one point, I don't know, but. Right there. There we go. So there we go. So there, yeah. So, but still for us, it was like, really? I mean, it looks like it's a really cool place. So the only thing that set us back was the fencing. I mean, I wanted to get a picture of the museum. It's like I get tangled up in razor wire. Can't even put my camera over the fence. And so it looks like it'd be really cool. We did see it's an excellent RV park. It needs to be listed on all those sites again. And I thought, please obey the following rules. Really nice sign. However, that sign is right at the gateway when you pull in. Well, what are we going to do? Stop and block half of Highway 81 while we're pulling in? That sign should be moved on the inside. So let us pull in and then we'll read the rules. Okay? That's the only thing I do with that. Just move it inside. And by the way, this does say security cameras in use. That's fine. As long as you don't, or you can put smile, you're on candid camera. I think those little signs are fine. It didn't make us, as a matter of fact, as a camper, it'd say, okay, it makes me feel safer. See what I mean? In that case, that's okay. I mean, beautiful. I mean, we even just walking down this little road that goes over to the sports fields and everything. Just a beautiful, beautiful park. So now in Park River, talking about tourism, we did find Hillcrest Country Club, of course. And once again, it does have a sign right there. And there were some ladies getting ready to play golf. But it really doesn't tell you anything about, do you have public play? Is it 9 or 18 holes? Do you have a pro shop or restaurant? Do you have club and cart rentals? It has some rules and things, which is fine. But once again, like all the other country clubs, it's missing, can I play there if I wanted? And so, I mean, once again, it's a beautiful court. You can see he's mowing the lawn down there. And so I just thought it was stunning. I mean, even the homes on the golf course. And then, of course, not sure what this is. This is if you turn in Park River and you go down a little ways, there's railroad tracks there. This is there. There's no signs whatsoever. So I don't know if this is private, if it's public, if it's a museum. We pulled down the little side street. There were people back in here working on it, but there's no interpretive signs. I think that's one of those, what do they call them, a cook shack that they used to wheel out for the farm fields. But there's nobody there. There's no signs. There's no interpretive. It's just there. And so I don't even know what it is. I mean, it's historical stuff, but maybe it's somebody's private collection. Once again, this could be leverage for tourism. I mean, interpretive signs tell us about the log cabin or the school or the train depot or whatever, and let us just walk around and look at it. Would be cool and educational. Remember what I said early on, if you get people to stay 2 hours spending doubles? Man, if you did this, you could get people there for an hour or so, and maybe they'll go walk the trail in town, and then they're saying, while we're here, let's get something to eat. And so that's what this is all about. And so, we did see the RV park. It looks great. It's got lawn areas. It's got full hookups, if you know RV speak. It looks great. But it would be nice. Almost all these RV parks, there was no information, no signs. Who do we call? Is there a QR code? Where do we log in? Who? We don't even know who owns it. No signage at any of these. So once again, you're losing revenues because you're not closing the sale. Is it Hom? Homie. Okay, glad it wasn't Homie. So, okay, it's Homie Dam. And I thought it was Hom, but we didn't know. But Hom Dam, we did go there. Unfortunately, we missed some of the fall color because we kind of found it later. But once again, it's just stunning. I thought that story was fascinating about how this stopped the floods from happening in in Grafton, I think, right? All the way to, but anyway, I thought that was a really good story about the history of the dam. And whoa, a real dam. Look at that. But I thought it was really cool. It was raining the day we went there, unfortunately. But you could walk right up to it and look at the spillway. And once again, I kept thinking, man, wouldn't it be cool if there was trails that followed that around? Once again, those can work. But in the fall color or seeing wildlife or anything could be phenomenal. I mean, trails are huge, and you have very few. In the state, it's a problem. You've got them up at Icelandic in some of the parks, but I thought even right there would be really cool. Beautiful, beautiful area. I love the little swimming beach and the little sheltered area. Just a really good tourism attraction. And I think and I love that even during the summer, I'm sure that they put life preservers on there for the kids. I thought that is really cool that you do that. I thought it was overall just an excellent, excellent park. But are you seeing from tourism eyes what you have to offer here? Yet people go, oh, you got to go to Devil's Lake. I know it's bigger and everything, but man, you go out here and be all by yourself. What more could you want? You know what I mean, on some of these lakes. And I mean, it's got the sand volleyball. It's got, I mean, it was a little bit rough weather that day. It was like whitecaps. But once again, nice boat launch for kayaks, canoes, whatever it is. And it has a really good campground. And once again, not really listed anywhere. You know, if I go back to Campendium, Homie Dam, there it is, no information. I guess, you know, I think, how many reviews are there? Number of sites, 25. I don't see how many there are, but there's no photos, there's no anything. All this stuff is free. You just have to have somebody do it. And you can get people here as visitors, and then they'll stay on. Here we go. So we have 25 sites. You know, but then we get down to, there's their cell phone coverage. Oh, there we go. Rock from their mower, shattered truck window. But they gave it 5-star success because we called the county or whoever, and they said, take it to a shop, we'll pay for it, and they did. They took care of it. And so, but once again, they said, wow, these people are good. They took care of their customer. And that's, if they would have said, sorry, we're not positive a rock hit the windshield and everything, you know what? All of us RVers wouldn't stay there. But they said, we'll cover it. And they did. And so it got 5-star ranking. And so, but it needs more photographs. It needs more information. And I think that's going to be really important for you. And that's what I mean. Every lake should have its unique selling proposition. Now, he's doing that on purpose. Because you could say, if this lake, we have less wind than other lakes. We don't get the white caps other lakes might. It's shallow, so it's warmer, and no power boats are located on it. So this lake would be a perfect place to learn how to roll a kayak. See what I mean? Or stand-up paddleboard. So what you can do is take your lakes, figure out what is their greatest strength, and then leverage them. Rather than say, we have 20 lakes in 4 counties, pick one, and we're going to go, we're not picking any of them because we don't know why we should go to one over the other. And that's what's really important to this whole thing. So now, we talked about tourism. This is the last one, if you're getting tired. Every town needs an anchor tenant. Just like I showed you in, was it Forest River with the little minions, you know, Forest River Cafe. Every town needs an anchor tenant. I want to take you on a little ride to Parowan, Utah. This is a small town. They're just trying to get people to stop. If you go, there's Salt Lake City to Las Vegas on I-15, and if you go down by Cedar City, this town is about 1.5 miles off the freeway, so it's not even on the freeway. It's 1.5 miles off, and if you want to go to like Brian Head ski area, you would take this area, you would take this area, then you would turn up Main Street, and there is their downtown, and then you would continue on. Their downtown is about 1.5 blocks long, okay? And there it is. There's their downtown. It's got a motel there. I don't even think it's open. It's got some shops right there. And you can see it's about 1.5 blocks. This is a Google image they were taking when they were working on the road there, which is a highway. And so, but see the Parowan Cafe there? It was pretty well known for one thing, cinnamon rolls. So even if you have a restaurant that has really good burgers, or a little cafe that has really fantastic cinnamon rolls, Parowan said, let's take advantage of it. Enjoy the sweet tour. They decided to do their whole brand on cinnamon rolls based on one little restaurant. So what did they do? And I have my notes up here on this one. So the whole goal is 10 cars would stop and spend $20. That would be $6,000 a month increase in retail sales. Because if they buy cinnamon rolls, they're probably going to buy coffee or breakfast or something else. So that was their goal. And so they started working on it. And the Parowan Cafe said, well, I'll jump on it. Katie Lister is the owner. And she goes, help me make my cinnamon rolls even better. Because cinnamon rolls aren't different. But if I can make them the best, people will come here just for that, you know, and they could be as big as a plate, or they could be with strawberries in them or something. How do I make them better? But they decided that the whole town could be about cinnamon rolls. So Bev's Floral did a kind of a cool thing. She actually, she does cinnamon smelling bouquets. I mean, you know, she was doing anything she could, you know, and then there's a tanning shop. They even did cinnamon bronze. Now, I don't know how that works, but everybody was jumping on the bandwagon. Cinnamon is how we roll. And that's what they started to do. And so all of a sudden, instead of 10 cars a day stopping, it was 1,500. They were running out of cinnamon rolls by 8 in the morning. So they had some damage control to do. So they said, we need more people making cinnamon rolls. And by the way, that's a restaurant right there. It's a mercantile right there. And you can see they were redoing their streets. And so the Mexican restaurant there in the corner said, what can we do with cinnamon rolls? We're a Mexican restaurant. So guess what they did? They did a really cool thing. And these are cinnamon apple chimichangas. It is almost lunchtime, isn't it? That looks good. I mean, see what I mean? That looks amazing. So they did finding Parowan's sweet spot. Everything they did. Then what they did is they got a grant from the state tourism department, put up billboards. Yum, best cinnamon rolls in the West. Next exit, turn right. Now, what they did is if you say you have the best cinnamon rolls, I don't believe it. You need a third-party endorsement. They went to KSL TV and radio in Salt Lake City. Reporters came down to Parowan, and one of the reporters on air said, these are the best cinnamon rolls in the West. And bingo, you had a third-party endorsement. And so they put out these billboards, and now, I mean, there were lines getting into downtown to get cinnamon rolls. And so even this guy right here, Dan Ortega, he is a Michelin-rated chef. He moved his business to Parowan, Utah. They hadn't had a new business in their downtown in 20 years. And by the way, he did Papa D's Bakery, Coffee Shop, homemade goodness, you know, and it was part of Cavaliero's family restaurant. They sistered him with the restaurant right there. I mean, look at this stuff. This is how you do it. So in their case, take the sweet tour. Find out how each of these businesses has put their own taste on it. Now, for some of your towns, it may be just those hamburgers in the one place. It may be one place that just has, like Park River has an amazing bakery that actually provided our stuff this morning. Now, they may be well known for a certain thing. That doesn't mean that's all they have, but that one thing says, man, you got to go to Park River. If you want really good bakery items, you got to go to Park River. That's what we're talking about by an anchor tenant. And so look at that. But everybody jumped on the bandwagon. You know, even up in Bryanhead, they even sell cinnamon roll keychains. Man, what the heck? So look at this. 4 to 6 places have them. They're vetted and award-winning. They have different recipes. They pair them with other foods and drinks. You can eat in, take out. They even do an annual bake-off. And then ready-to-bake, take-home rolls. I mean, starter kits. You can go there and buy starter kits, and then you take it home and then bake your own cinnamon rolls. You know, pastry chef classes, school classes, even their students are getting in on it. And new bakery opened in town. As you saw, other businesses are coming. I mean, it changed everything. Every one of your towns needs an anchor tent. Why should I come there? It could just be the burgers in one cafe where she hand presses the burgers. You know, whatever it is. So, Adams, if you're less than 200 people, chances very slim that your organized downtown could be successful. So I'm going to tell you that right off. I just got to be honest with you that many of your towns have less than 200 people. There's just no way you could create enough retail unless you were a big tourism draw and visitors are what paid your bills. That's hard to do when you basically have an 8-month season in this area of North Dakota. And you do have an 8-month season. I don't want to hear about it. Somebody said, you haven't been here for the 9 months of terrible weather. I'm going, really? Really? You would say that? And so that's important. I mean, we're in Amazon. You know, you could create these districts into residential live workspace, or you just make them into new residential opportunities. And so in Adams, we see things like this, very cute. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming probably somebody's residence. And that's fine, totally fine, because it's well taken care of, it looks nice. You know, there's an auditorium there. Now we're looking at commerce things. That looks nice. In Adams, I love it, city shed. We're just getting to it. It's just city shed. It's not the city public works building. It's just a shed. But I thought it was great. It was cute. I thought that's awesome, you know. And then in business, by the way, in most of your towns, I have no idea what's open and what's not. What's permanently closed, what's temporarily closed, I have no clue. So like this, I'm assuming that this is out of business. It is in business? How would I know? There's no open sign, there's no beautification, there's nothing. I mean, there was this car parked there, and I could see lights on in there, but I had no idea. So for these small towns, you need to make it obvious you're in business, because we don't know. And we're not going to go up and try the door. We're just saying, that looks like it's closed. And we do that. I mean, you know, almost Adams Cafe, really cute. Is this out of business? There's no hours on the door. The door was locked. We did try this one. No clue. What's that? Oh, hunters go there? So when is it open? Does anybody know when it's open? But you can see. So, but this is what I mean. So after a while, we just don't even try. And so, you know, right here, country, grocery, and gifts, we assume out of business. Am I right or wrong? Nobody knows. What would your guess be? I think it's close. You think it's close, okay. But we don't know. And so, you know, right here, I mean, you know, this is a bar, but it says, and grill. Would you eat there? What's that? Somebody bought it for residence. Oh, they're turning it into a hunting lodge. So in that case, you can put up a sign that says, over the next year, we're turning this into a hunting lodge. Please come back and enjoy us. But then I would take down that rusted metal sign, Fathead's Bar and Grill. I'd get it off the windows, and then put that. Because if you put this in 2022, this is going to be a hunting lodge, and then that's an invitation for more information. Put the URL there. See what I mean? So they could take that, turn lemons into lemonade by saying, well, here's what's going to happen there. Okay, that's good to know. So Edinburg, going down Commerce here. This street should be narrowed. A lot of your towns, this drives me nuts everywhere, and this is across the country. Why is it the highway, why is it the streets in our downtowns are wider than the highways getting us there? Because we want to push people through, not get them to stop. And so in this case, I thought you should close that street. You should narrow this street down, move these. So I painted that line there. It's not really there. And so you would paint a line there. You'd move these vehicles back, and then narrow the street. Here we saw the fire department. It looks really great. That looked really nice. But then we have this, and I assume, you know, just some paint. I'm assuming this is maybe, I don't know what it is. It's private, and it's a private shop. But just some paint would at least make us feel like, okay, people care in this town. Because that's what we think. Wow, nobody cares. You know, right here, Pabst Blue, you know, I don't know. My guess is this might be operating. Is it? It is? There's no hours. There's nothing. No beautification. There's nothing. I mean, even those, I think the Coors Light one was lit up, but had no clue. You got to make it obvious. And some of these might be fantastic, but they just didn't have. So you have to look at this and say, if that was in a little town I was visiting somewhere else, would you take the chance of walking in there? Probably not. That's the power of curb appeal. I mean, that's darling. It looks like it's brand new. It's closed right now when I took the picture, but I would be good if there's a couple of pots right there. When you have plants and stuff outside, it can really make a difference. And I'm going to show you some examples for the winter months. This is a gorgeous building. And maybe that's now private. It could be somebody's house. Does anybody know?
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
My watch is telling me, shut up, Siri. It's a private business, but great. It's just a beautiful building. Glad to see it. I wanted so bad to go in there. I went over there, went on the doors, and there's what I get. Okay, well, I'm really sorry, because it's an incredible building. And I'll bet that was an amazing hardware.
It was awesome.
It was, yeah, see, that could have been an anchor tenant. So that was really sad to see that. We did go to the grocery store across the street, and we did buy stuff there. Laundry, is that still in business? Yes. Okay. I can't see any hours on it. There's just a couple of, see what I mean? You just got to put a couple of pots. You got to do something that makes it obvious that you are still in business, because we don't know. The bank looks great. You can tell it's in business because it's got landscaping, it's maintained. Is it in business? Okay. Somebody started to laugh, and I just went, oh. And then we did go in Market on Main, but once again, we knew it was open because it had benches there and it had landscaping. Somebody had to be maintaining that, so they must be in business. That is where we bought lunch, because we couldn't get anything that day. And so we did go in there. It's a great little shop. And a nice sign. At Fairdale, right here, Fairdale Cafe and Community Center. Is the cafe ever open in Fairdale? No signs, no information, no hours, no anything. And it may be the cafe right there, it's just locked. And it may be only open during special events or something. The volunteer fire department we see there. Then we see buildings like this. And some of these could be either torn down and turned into residences, so you have mixed use, residential commercial space. But it's just like some of these you just got to start taking down. And sometimes you have to be heavy-handed about it. But, even this one here, the post office looks okay, but that doesn't. So it's time that you say, you know what, we're probably never going to get retail back in here. If it's savable, maybe somebody could put a residence or a small business in there. If not, let's get rid of it. And so I think that's really important to do. Fordville. Go back to Fordville. When we see stuff like that, remember, we love seeing change. It would be great if there was a sign there that said, coming soon, an invitation to come back. Hardly any communities ever did an invitation to come back. The damn cafe was right there. Our assumption, out of business. Right or wrong? It is in business. How would you know it? And when is it ever open? It looks like it's been closed for years. And it might be great, but we're judging the book by the cover. That's what people do. And now that one looks like it's in business, is it? Because it has a newer sign there. It doesn't have any beautification at all. It's got weeds. I guess they would call that beautification. But if there was a bench and stuff right there, but at least the sign, and it was a well-maintained building, so we thought maybe that's it. Now, here's the deal. Is it just a bar? Do they serve food? Yes. How would I know? Looks like a bar. See, we might, if it was open and stuff, maybe we would have eaten there. And those are the kinds of things that are missing in almost all these communities. Forest River, another gorgeous building. The back of it there needs some help, but it's still a beautiful building. On the other hand, then you run into this, and this is a decent building, it just needs paint. And maybe that's residential, maybe it needs to come down. But once again, it's hit and miss. Right here, I'm assuming this is open because we had a motorcycle and a car parked out in front. But that was my only way I would ever know. We got garbage piled up over here. See what I mean? It's just like, if you didn't live there, if you didn't know better, would you walk in there? And by the way, does this place sell food? Is it good? How would we know? Maybe that's your anchor tenant. If it's your anchor tenant, then you got to promote the food. You got to promote your specialty. It might be barbecue ribs. It might be, who knows what it is. And then make it look a little better. I mean, that's how, none of this is rocket science. And so if we go into Grafton, this place apparently is only open during the summer months, right? Or is it gone? It's gone. It's really sad because it's a really cool place. We did see the sign that said, last day, Sunday, 11 to 9, but I don't know which year that was. And so that's a challenge there. Downtown Grafton, its main problem in downtown is lack of curb appeal. There's just no, and I mean, you can see it's a nice downtown, but it looks desolate. It just looks desolate. It's not, but it looks that way. There's not one shred of beautification anywhere. And why is everything beige, brown, and gray? Yeah. So there's no curb appeal whatsoever. It looks bleak. And it's not, but it sure looks it. I mean, when we were driving through downtown Grafton, why would we even stop? And that's sad because there's some great little businesses there. But even the Frosty, I got to tell you, our best restaurant experience of our month here was right there. Really good. But Frosty Fox is an ice cream parlor. See what I mean? But there's no curb appeal. There's no benches. There's no nothing. You know why we ate there? Because one of you told us you got to go there. That's why we ate there. Because why would we? I got to tell you, we went in there. And it had really no curb appeal. I thought I had more photos of that here, but we went in there, and a lady came up and waited on us, and had all these tables. They're covered with linens. And then there's glass of linens. I mean, it is gorgeous in there. And she sat us down, and there was like 2 other tables. I went, oh my gosh, I wish they were busier. And then so she came out and said, make sure you leave room for dessert because I bake all the desserts myself. And right there, I wanted to get up and give her a hug. I mean, so then we ordered our meals. Jay and I ordered meals. We had a special there. And after we ordered the meal, the guy comes out and he says, you know what? My wife and I went to Spain. And I know you both ordered baked potatoes, but we discovered these potatoes where you slice them and you cook them a certain way. Would you like to try that? And Jane goes, I'll do the baked potatoes. I said, I'll try those potatoes. He goes, thank you very much. It's the owner. It was the owner and his wife. I mean, we left there. I mean, you ought to read the review we gave them. I mean, it was so awesome, and they were so, so nice. I mean, she took our bill at the end, went back, and then finally the owner came out and said, my wife's not really good at all this technology stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of your bill for you. So we went up there. I mean, it was just so personable and so incredible that we'd eat every meal there if we could. I mean, that's the experience we had. And as far as I'm concerned, of all the meals we had in all 4 counties, including Grand Forks, there's your anchor tenant, Grafton. I want them to succeed because success breeds success. By the way, they did this restaurant, retired, hoping other people were going to run it. And I don't know if they got stuck in Canada and couldn't get back over or whatever. So now him and his wife are retired running this. And she was literally running. She goes, I go for a 2-mile walk every day, but by the end of the day, I walk an average of 11 miles working in that restaurant. I mean, they were as nice as you could ever imagine. But from curb appeal, this is probably a fabulous shop, but look at it. Would you go in? People, you need to understand the power of curb appeal, and I'm going to show you what you need to do. Now, at least over here, they put benches and pots. Over at, what is it? Oh, yeah, Shenanigans Restaurant. Now, we did eat there too. We ate at almost all your restaurants. But when I went in there, it had a lot of plastic flowers and everything. I felt like I was in an old folks' home. So no offense to the people of Shenanigans, and no offense to old people. I'm one of them. But I would just kind of update the decor, and it was very good service. But at least they did something that looked nice. Even the Chamber of Commerce got a couple pots out in front, but everything looks bleak. Now, one thing you could do. In Fredericksburg, Texas, they did a cool thing. One of the merchants went all up and down all the retailers and said, look, I want to beautify our storefronts like that. And there was nothing there. It was like downtown Grafton. He said, would you donate something? Because what I want to do is go to a wholesale nursery at the end of the season, get a bunch of pots, at least 20 inches, 21 inches are opening on the bigger. We don't want little pots. But would you donate some money? Somebody donated $5. Somebody donated $200. I think the average donation was like $40. So they went out, they went to a wholesale nursery and said, look, we'll take all the pots. They can have a hairline crack down them. If it's a pair and one of them's broken, we'll take the other one. If they have a chip on them, it's okay. But we want them for a fraction of pennies on the dollar. So they raised about $3,500 and they spent $1,500 on pots. Then they put them in a side street. Somebody donated a flatbed truck to use. They brought them back, put them on a side street and said, merchants, help yourself. They didn't say you only paid $5, you only get one. They said help yourself. So you can see this merchant grabbed these. They look kind of similar. This merchant grabbed these. This merchant grabbed those that you see right there. And they lined them up. They're all empty. They lined them up. Then what they did is they got and during the winter months, then what they did is they put a load of round rock and a dump truck load of topsoil on the side street. And they went to all the youth organizations that are trying to raise money. Cheerleaders, band, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, any youth group. And they said, would you come along? We want you to put gravel in the bottom of every one of those, cut out a circle of landscape fabric, and then fill them full of topsoil. And they paid like $500 to the kids, these real organizations, to do that. Never had a case of vandalism because kids protect things they take ownership of. It worked. Then, during the winter, they stuck pinwheels in it. It made the news just from all the pinwheels. But then in the spring, they went and planted them, mainly with evergreens or perennials. So there's one shop right there. Here, this lady took these two and did that on each side of her shop. I mean, they had some left over, so this is a gallery. He did a little grouping of them. How cool is that? Here's the statistic that you need to know. And this is for every one of your towns because none of your towns really get the power curb appeal. 70% of first-time sales comes from curb appeal. We all travel. Have you ever said these words? That looks like a nice place to eat. We all do it. I mean, this is Neenah, Wisconsin, town of 5,000. Look at the facades. Before, after, resales went up 35% just doing that. So can you imagine that women's store if they had flower pots like that in front of it? I mean, and look at this. There you go. Women account for 80% of all consumer spending. I'm waiting. Usually there's a guy in the audience that pipes up and says, that's all. But that is an absolutely true fact. Look at this next photo, which was not staged. What do you see? Now, yeah, that's what you have to do. And by the way, benches, there's Jane. You can tell how happy she was. But benches flanked with pots, and you always put the benches against the facade. I mean, that is what you need to do. I mean, that's in Eufaula, Oklahoma. They don't all have to be cookie cutter the same. But for women, their priorities, we want to feel safe, well-lit, full of life and people. And beautification makes it feel safe. And think about, why do you think we do that? We may never sit in our chairs, but it makes our home feel welcoming. It's the same with downtown businesses. I mean, and nobody's doing it around here. You can go to Laverne, Minnesota. So it's on the eastern, it's just due south. Let's see, no, it's on the western side. It's near South Dakota. But Laverne, Minnesota did a cool thing. This is their downtown. We went there, did an assessment, and they started just decorating it up. Now, that's in front of a little restaurant. They don't even, you can see the chairs are stacked up. They don't even serve out there but they put the chairs out there because it made it feel welcoming. I mean, look at that. Is that cute or what? I mean, that's just a little retail shop right there. Sincerely yours. I mean, look at blade signs. How cool is that? Perpendicular to us. I'll get more into that. But see the little, the pot, there's a table, a chair, a table, a chair, and a pot. Those are not even restaurants. It's just to make their shop look welcoming. And it's obvious that they're in business. And that is not that expensive to do. And so just doing these kinds of things, I don't know who's open or who's not. I don't know whether you serve food if you don't put it on your signs. And, in a lot of your places, they're not, by the way, most of these restaurants and bars are not even on TripAdvisor where we could go check them out. And so there's some real missing pieces around. But isn't that awesome? And so I just think that by doing, this is in downtown Grafton. I thought, man, now if they just added benches between those would be awesome. But at least they did something. You can tell they just watered them that morning. And this is the little Cabinot Coffee House. They do great. I took this when they didn't have the tables and chairs out there. They do an outstanding job. They were the best example of downtown Grafton by far. And so, but I just thought, yes, they got the pots out there. They got evergreens in them. They can put the umbrellas here. It was windy when we were taking pictures. And so, but look at this. I mean, why? This looks like right out of 1971. Come on, you guys. I mean, just add benches, pots, a blade sign, perpendicular sign. That I think is incredible. Now, there's probably people in Grafton going, oh my God, he likes that? I think it's incredible. It makes you look artistic. It makes you look like you have life. I don't know how many people complained, but I'm sure there was plenty. But for us, it was like, there's some life here. There's some youth here. There's some color. And we were there during the color time of the year. I can't imagine. That brightens it up even during the winter months. But I think that is awesome. I would just love to see more people with color. I just thought that's cool. So, it is still open, isn't it? Looks like it. I mean, right across this street is this little studio. It was closed every time we went there. So I don't know when or if it's ever open, but I thought, man, that's an artist studio. And I love the pole there, but man, can you imagine if they painted this and did some cool colors? Even if it's just a solid color, yellow, blue, green, anything that's color. But on the other hand, I think it's a great place. There's no hours, it just says close. There's no invitation to come back. And so if I keep going, the Squire shop, this looks like a great shop, but not one shred of beautification or anything. So in downtown, there's nothing to even slow us down. And by the way, cities should allow every merchant 24 to 30 inches outside their building for benches, chairs, or extending window displays to outside. Okay, that still leaves room for ADA. I went out there and measured it. So you still have access. I've been many times, they don't even allow that, and you need to do it. And so, other thing is that you could do in more towns is awnings. Awnings are huge. Sometimes towns will have roll-up awnings, so when it gets really windy, you roll them up, and then they roll down. I took this in, where was this? I think this was in Oklahoma, Durant, Oklahoma. This was in Geneseo in Western New York. Look at that, isn't that awesome? And this is the power of awnings, and see this, it's a case of lasagna. Notice the awning is out there, and here it is rolled up. So it just has a power roller up. But notice, look at the storefronts. By the way, they have the same weather as you, so don't give me the weather excuse. So, there it is, all rolled up. Just doing this. This is in Durant, Oklahoma. There it is. There's Durant right there. I mean, that's just, it adds so much appeal. It's just doing awnings. Look at the difference between this, and that. I mean, huge difference. And so, you know, I just think that great opportunity to do more awnings like those that you see down there. Great, great. And then what I put, dated. I mean, you know, and some were just awful. Look at that. That's incredible. So awnings. I mean, I'm just giving you ideas. You know, El Dorado, Arkansas. I mean, they actually string lights around their awnings. I mean, look at their storefronts. That's a town of 20,000, so it's bigger than your towns. But still, that's fantastic. Beautification. You just can't underestimate it. So there you go. So let me keep going here. Night lighting. I mean, even at night, we walked around downtown Grafton, even at night, and it's still, but these all light up. Notice the little white lights, they're there year round. And it just lights up the windows and use warm light. But I just wanted to show you in Durant, Oklahoma, this was an opera house, but now it's a coffee shop. But notice how the lights all the way around the windows? That's there. It's not just Christmas. It's white lighting. It's there year round. And this is it at night. Is that cool or what? I mean, you know, some people said, oh, it's the red light district. Well, they do sell sexy clothing and everything in this first one. But still, it's just, it really gets your attention. This is at night. It's lit up inside. Now we have LED lighting. You can do this kind of stuff. I mean, look at that. That's at night. I would love to see that men's shop and the women's clothing shop downtown should look like this at night. And they don't. It's just off. And so, I mean, these are all at night in the town of Durant. You know, I mean, look at that. So, that's what you need to do. You could even do like that. All you need is like a block in downtown Grafton to do that on. And this would work in downtown Park River and in most of your downtowns. You know, add blade signs. I mean, what's down there? The only way I can see these signs is if I'm across the street or standing out in traffic, when there is traffic. And then, so what's in it? Why should I walk down there? There's not one single perpendicular sign to me. And so, you know, there you go. Once again, what's down there? Give me some incentive to walk down the street. And so these are blade signs. What you see there, by the way, you notice something about these signs? You know instantly what they are. Chocolate, collectibles, trains, restaurant. Always put what it is you're selling before the name of the store. I mean, those are blade signs. And you can make them, because this is in Nantucket. You know, they don't all have to be cookie cutter, but they need to be consistent height and size. I mean, that's fantastic. You know, and then once again, that's in Carmel, California. Blade signs. I've been in towns that don't allow them. You need to allow them. You know, this is in Valparaiso, Indiana. So those are a little bigger downtown, so the signs are a little bit bigger. But, I mean, every town. This is Canmore, Alberta. Population's about 7,000. Those are blade signs. And these are in Lethbridge, Alberta. Those are built 100-mile-an-hour wind loads. But they still have blade signs, even in high winds. And they were just putting these up when I was there. So if somebody moves, they just take out the sign itself, and they were just putting them in when I got there. And so there's a general rule. No lower than 7 feet, no higher than 9 feet. That means they can be about 24 inches tall, and no wider than about 42 inches. Blade signs. They will increase your retail sales. I mean, those are awesome, and they're under the awnings there. So, you know, and there's even a video on that. So you can watch that sometime. And by the way, 2-hour parking in downtown Grafton, really? Really? I mean, really? I mean, I never saw a time when there wasn't a gazillion parking spaces within a 1-minute walk of where I was trying to go. I would probably take this. By the way, there's one more thing in Grafton I don't have a picture of. It drives me nuts. If you're at Listico Park and you come down 5th, for you in Grafton, you come down 5th, when you get a block away from Hill, it says do not enter, right on 5th. I've seen cars stop there and go, why can't I go forward? There was one car I drove around them, and they went, oh, I guess it's okay. But it says, do not enter, right on 5th. And so somebody needs to go take that down. I didn't get that at all. Anyway, well, it's on 5th, half a block, and there's a one-way, hills one way, or there's some road one way. And I don't know if they mean you can't go the one way, or if that means you can't go that way because it's one way. And if so, you would put the sign facing that way. But it's right there. It says, do not enter. It's like, really? You don't want us to come downtown if we're out at the park? Anyway, after all that, you saw the beautification. Take another look. I mean, take another look. I mean, I feel so bad for these businesses that they don't understand the power of curb appeal. I'd paint that. It looks all moldy and everything. I mean, it just looks awful. And it's probably a great shop. But I didn't hear Jane ever say, man, I want to go in there. It's women's fashions. And she probably made, and I haven't talked to her about it, but she probably made that judgment based on curb appeal. Even the Strand, that's open, I can tell, because they're showing new movies, right? But would you know it if you're driving by? No. Not a stick of curb appeal. You can even do trompe-l'oeil. Trompe-l'oeil is French for fool the eye. This is where you do murals that are architecturally look three-dimensional. So for instance, that's the side of a building. There is no arch there. That's all painted on. It's just flat. Flat one-color concrete block. That's it. There's our guy, Eric Groh. He's doing the work on it, creating the trompe-l'oeil mural, which is fool the eye. There it is done. Is that cool or what? These become tourist attractions. I mean, here's one. Before, during, after. You can walk right up to it and you go, oh my God, that's actually just flat. I'll give you the best example of all. If you ever go to Arizona, standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, such a fine sight to see. There's a girl, my Lord, in a flatbed Ford slowing down to take a look at me. The Eagles' first hit. So here's the deal. Notice there's the guitar standing on the corner. That was actually written by Jackson Browne. Glenn Frey was a friend of mine, who we lost a couple years ago. And Jackson Browne was cruising through Arizona on Interstate 40. His car broke down. He was in Winslow, started this song, never finished it. So we went over to Glenn Frey of the Eagles and said, Glenn, I can't finish the song. Would you finish the song? Would you finish it? So he finished it. It was the Eagles' first big hit. What you need to know is that there is the front of a furniture store. You can see the reflection of the girl in the flatbed Ford there. You can see furniture, lights in the reflection there, right? And right there behind this guy, they actually put up a statue of Glenn Frey there, who wrote the song, who finished the song. There's the flatbed Ford. There's people on that corner. 1.5 million people a year stop there to get their picture taken at that trompe-l'oeil. And by the way, there you go. I mean, it's 1.5 million people. There's Glenn right there. And that's the back of it. The store's not even there anymore. That's all painted on. There's no windows there, no furniture store. That's the power of trompe-l'oeil. So if you have buildings that can use that, by all means, do it. So anyway, back to our Grafton. La Cantina looks great. The reason I wrote narrow the menu is because I was expecting really awesome Mexican food, but they also they sell everything. And I think if you narrow your menu, you can be really good at one thing. And I don't want to put anybody down, but the Mexican wasn't up to what I would think would be a really good Mexican. And I think it's because they're trying to be all things to all people. And that's what I'd say with anybody, is just narrow your focus. In Grafton, There's already people working in Grafton on taking the Armory and turning it into I would call it a public assembly space. I hope it doesn't end up being just a gym. But see that right there? That should be a plaza. And this goes for everybody. And I kept thinking, man, if we could do public parking there and then take where those cars there and make that all a plaza, wouldn't it be cool if this was a central gathering place? And this could happen in any town of more than 200 people. So I thought, what if we took that and we took out all the asphalt and we put down paver stones there? So that color there would be all paver stones. And then what if this was restrooms, offices, storage? What if that was a restaurant? I don't even know what's in there, by the way, so I'm not trying to kick anybody out. But I thought, what if this was, because the Armory is, where is it? Right here. And I thought, man, could this be part of this plaza? And so I kept looking at this and going, so could we turn all of this, on the north side of the building, this would be all parking. But I thought about even doing something like this, a big public market like this, but the interior could change out. You could take it all out. It could be whatever you want. And I thought, man, so if it was a public market, it might look like this. Notice all the little booths and everything. It's got a center stage there. But then you could take all that out. It could be whatever you want. It could be a public market. It could be a job fair. It could be a wedding show. It could be a spook holiday, a haunted house. It could be Christmas vendors in there. It could be a public market. And so that's for the building that we showed you. But I'm a huge proponent of public plazas, a place where we can go hang out. And the primary ingredient is programming. And so every town needs a community living room. That's what I call it, a community living room. And it doesn't have to be any bigger than this room we're in right here. It's just a place where local kids can come and hang out. And you might have things like, you change it every 2 weeks, and you do that twice a year. So if you had, that's called imagination playgrounds, like Lincoln logs, but with foam. They're really cool. And I thought you could do that for 2 weeks, and then you might do it during spring break. You might do it sometime during the summer. But you'd always change it out. And so all of these, this used to be parking places. They took away 2 or 3 parking places, and they created a little wall there. They put these big chess sets there. I mean, even doing these, $79, you could buy these big Jenga sets. I just think that having any place somewhere in your downtown that you could program. And what's nice about the Armory, you'd have inside space and outside space. And even in those outside spaces, doing this in the fall months or the early spring months would be so cool. You know, I just think that creating a community living room would be awesome. And in Grafton, you got 5,000. You know what? You're the service center for about 20,000 people. And so I kept thinking, even putting out tables and chairs and doing the Taste of Northeast North Dakota or Rendezvous Region or whatever, you know, and having chili cook-offs and everything would be fantastic. But the whole thing with this is always about changes, always doing. That's what I love about with the parks. But you know what, the parks out there, they had like a straw bale maze. That could have been downtown if you had a place for it. See what I mean? And a lot of things they could do. You know, consider whether it is you mix and match your activities, you add security cameras. And I don't have time to go through all this because I'm already out of time. But look at this. You could buy 4 tables and a chair for $162. You could get, Marvin maybe would sponsor one set. Maybe a law firm would sponsor one set. Maybe another company would sponsor a set. Maybe the school would sponsor a set. So you could have all these sponsors. You put out sandwich boards, say the activities here are sponsored by so-and-so. So you wouldn't even have to have a lot of money to do this. Umbrellas, $39. You know, you can, and then you line it with things like this to keep cars out of there since it's now a pedestrian plaza. You know, but there's a ton of videos about how to activate your downtown. And I think that is so critical. And I'm not going to go through all these. You're going to get all these in handouts and everything. But can you imagine having all these things? You know, here's how much it would cost to do these things. And then you just put them in your downtown plaza. I always say, always put your activities in the heart of your spending district. That increases the value of the buildings. And by the way, retail goes where people go. So if you have people hanging out downtown, the retail is going to come back and fill in your empty spaces. So wherever people go, retail will follow. I mean, so if you can imagine, even hula hoops, how cool would that be? You know, those are spun chairs. I mean, those are really crazy. I mean, musical instruments. I mean, I'm just quickly going through some of the things you could do. You could even get these little booths. I mean, they're like, what are they, $290 a piece. And then let local craftspeople that are making fishing ties and stuff come and show their wares or sell them. This is a portable skate park. I mean, you can put that on the square. Cornhole tosses, you know. These are all just ideas of things you could do. The fire pits, they're propane, even badminton. Canmore, Alberta has these out year-round. People wear their ski clothes in full ski garb, and they're out there using the exercise equipment. And that's up in Alberta, near the Rockies. You know what I mean? Look at all of these ideas. And so I just think you need a space to program. Now, if you were to go buy every single one of those things I showed you, the whole thing, everything there, the total cost for all of that would be $76,000 for everything. All you need is a place, and it needs to be where people can spend money. Now, you know, there's a lot of things out at Listicle Park that should be out there. I mean, you're not going to do train rides downtown. Well, you probably could, but it's got a lot of things going. But there's some of those activities. Wouldn't it be great if you had 2 locations? Put them in the heart of your spending district, and you'll have no retail vacancies. I mean, you know, and so I kept going. What if we put pavers there? What if we went in and we put a stage right there? So there's room behind the stage and everything. And then what if we added, let's see here, a fence right there so that little stage area would be for entertainers. Then that purple over there, we put a fence there, we put a gate there. So that's kind of our staging area back there. Then let's go ahead and add a couple of street trees back there. Let's add some more trees all the way down, every 30 feet down the road here, and then on a hill, and then so now we've got trees lining that. We might even put planters underneath those trees. Then what we can do is we can, next up, those are like Catalina umbrellas, like 9 feet across. So those would be tables with umbrellas. If that was a restaurant there, could you imagine having outdoor dining there? I mean, you know, and then let's say that was we had going into the armory there. So you have more tables, seating areas there. Then these are like vendor booths. But it could be a food truck instead of 2 vendor booths. And you might even put more vendor booths in there. Now we have a public market going on. And in that empty space, you might have some of those big chess sets or a couple of foosball tables. But the point is, you could change this every couple of weeks. It would be a cool gathering place. And you might have skate rentals if you had an ice rink there. Can you imagine if this was the winter? By the way, those yellow things you see are fire pits with benches around them. You could put a skate rink right there on that lot that would be bigger than Rockefeller Center. They did that in Rapid City, North Dakota, and they made South Dakota, sorry. See, my head's already in North Dakota. So in Rapid City, we did Main Street Square. If you ever get a chance, go check out Rapid City's Main Street Square. It totally revitalized their town. By the way, creating Main Street Square in Rapid City, I could show you the whole case history. But the average age of a person buying a home after Main Street Square opened dropped by 12 years. Young people were coming back because of a plaza. And they make $130,000 a year just renting ice skates. And they have to dole them out because it gets too busy. So can you imagine this? And that's a portable ice rink. So you might have a couple vendor booths over there, and then you can get warm and stuff inside. So does that make sense? So let me keep going. Okay, thank you. So let me just finish with the rest of these towns. I did that side trip from Grafton, and I'm sorry I'm out of time already. But Hoople, I'll do this really quick. It is the only town in all 4 counties that actually invited people in by doing that. If you drive between Grafton and Park River, you drive by it every day. I went, wow, a city that's actually promoting itself. What a concept. Now, I'm not so sure about Tatertown, whether that's really going to get people to want to live there. But At least they did something to promote their town. I thought that's awesome. Crossroads, eliminate downtown. You know, I thought that Hoople's kind of at a crossroads. Whether do we just eliminate downtown or do we try to get it back into retail, all of those things. And I'm almost done. And so Hoople City Hall there, but once again, Goalie's Bar, I think it's open because it had chairs and stuff out. Am I right? Okay. However, that Bud Light sign, that should have been taken down 20 years ago. And you know, and so, I mean, there, you see benches there, so I'm assuming they're in business, but not sure. This is just another bar. You know, Hoople Grocery, they're open. It's really obvious they're open. They have gas there. Looks decent. I mean, First United Bank, the post office, all these things look great. But then over here, I have no clue. And so that's what we're talking about. What's that? And so, yeah, and some of those might be residential, they might be whatever. So I'll just quickly go through these. Lankin, Ham's, Lion's Den. You know, is it in business? It is? By the way, Lion's Den is a national chain of like X-rated stores. It really is. It's a national chain of these, what do they call them? Adult bookstores. And so I saw Lion's Den and went, really? Okay. I'll be right in. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Anyway, it just caught me off guard when I saw that. I know that's not what it is. But Citizens State Bank, got the flower pots, got the bench there. You know they're working. In Minto, here we are back in Minto. Could use some curb appeal here. This cafe, we wanted to eat there, but it was locked. And so I went onto Google, and now it says it's permanently closed. Is that true? Nobody claimed. They didn't claim their own Google listing. You gotta claim your Google listing. Notice this, own this business. So you know what? The door was locked, and then we saw that, and so you know what? They lost our business. And we probably never come back because as far as we knew, it's permanently closed. You got to claim your business. It's free. It takes like 10 minutes. And so, I mean, that's the problem. You know? I mean, what can I tell you? So, and by the way, that open sign was on, but the door was locked when we were there. So somebody forgot to turn off the open sign, and so we just didn't know. So these are all just little things. You know, like here in Minto, is Nikki's Cafe the only place that serves food in Minto? There's more than just this one, right? Yet look at this. It's the only one listed on TripAdvisor, and there's no photos or anything. I mean, that's what you're missing. You know, and I have no idea, Ewald's, you know, whatever it is. You know, I have no idea what some of these are. Park River. Park River, I thought had the best downtown of all of them. You know, this restaurant gets really busy, by the way. Notice that on weekends up there. But they have a reader board, nothing on it. I mean, it's like, why don't you ever market yourselves? You know, I didn't get that. You know, there it is. Welcome. What is this? Oh, it's apartments. Is that what you said? Apartments? Oh, okay. Okay. I thought it was something retail, but I couldn't read the sign. I mean, look at that. Flip and show. I think that's really cute what they do there. You know, and I don't know when they're open, if they're ever open. I mean, even decorations like that I thought were great in Park River. I mean, the downtown is phenomenal. Just phenomenal. I think it has so much potential. You got to get past potential, though. And once again, there's not much curb appeal. A couple of shops to it. The bakery right there in the corner, I think, is awesome. It was closed every time we were there because it said staffing shortages. But once again, there's no curb appeal in front of it. And I wouldn't have even known it was a bakery because there's no blade signs or anything. There is a little one right, but it's too tall. Blade signs, when they go above 14 feet, we miss them. It should be lowered down. And so, but a great shop. They provided our treats today. Is this ever open? Oh, that's somebody's house. I thought, cool, classic car museum.
full of classic cars, but one owner.
Okay, I went up and tried to go. I would have walked in somebody's house. And luckily it was locked.
He would have let you in.
Okay, probably would, and I would have been delighted. Bowling Cafe, is it in business? They're only open during the fall and winter? Oh, okay, but they should have put signs out. I mean, these are the things that are just, there's the bakery again. You know, and just not much curb appeal. I thought the recycle shop, at least they had pots out there. They got a little sandwich board they can put out when they're open. And it looks cute. It's got a nice awning even. Things, look at that. Look at that. You seeing that? That's a big deal. And you wonder why everybody goes and does their shopping in Grand Forks. You know, I mean, that's a challenge. I think the mural is great, but I'm already downtown. I don't need to see a picture of it. I would have done trompe l'oeil. I would have done something else. You know, I think that like say, ouch, a truck hit that. Yeah, I know, that's really sad. And I'm not complaining about that. I knew somebody hit it. But is it still open and operating? On the weekend. No signs. No signs. It's just an invitation to come back. And so I was just going, well, when is it open? I mean, invite us back. None of this stuff is expensive. This is one of the best shops in downtown. I have no idea what it's called. I can't read that. I know it's Wayne's because we had to look it up online to figure out what it was called. But it's just things like updating your signs. But it's a great shop. And so these are the kinds of things that you need to know about. I mean, that, I don't know what it said, but, you know, I think what happens is these merchants walk in their back door and they never look at it from our standpoint. And so, I mean, that's awesome right there. I think the Ardoch salon, putting the chairs and the tables and the decor, absolutely perfect. I think it looks really great. You know, I think this is great. I wish more people would do it in Park River. And so we could go on. I mean, look at that. It catches your eye from everywhere. And everything else is pretty boring. You know, and so that is the challenge. You know, I'm not sure what that is. It's a cool building. Oh, that's City Hall? Oh, that's the auditorium. Okay, City Hall's down there. That's right. I remember that now. But once again, all of these, you know, Maine Hair Care looks fairly nice. It's got some decorations in the windows, but no real curb appeal out there. And so that's just really important, you know, and where's the blade signs? Give me incentive to walk down the street. I mean, same here, you know, Rose Realty, there they go. I probably lowered down. Well, they can't really lower it down anymore. But right there, at least they put a table, some pumpkins there, and at least you know what it is. But I don't know what's down the street. And so all of these things, I mean, the club, bar, or whatever, is that operating? And I wouldn't allow plastic banners like this to be up for more than 2 weeks. I mean, you have a historic downtown. I know Budweiser or whoever gives them those and they hang them up. And they hang them up, but I don't think you need it. But once again, hours, days that you're open, you could do a plaza right there, like I just showed you. I kept going, man, could we do a plaza there? You know, take that. Wouldn't that be cool if we had, and I think this is where it's at. I thought if there was a restaurant on both sides of those or something, and I thought, man, could we do a plaza there? And could we put our fence back there with a gate so you can get into it from behind? Put your stage right there with a little fence behind it. By the way, you always want the stage so the sun shines in the performer's eyes. You know, you never want it in your audience eyes, so it always has to face west as much as you can. But then you add some street trees to this, you know, and then you could add some tables and chairs in there. I mean, how cool could that be? And then you just program it with there's vendor booths in the back I put in there for this one, and maybe some more down the middle. So there you go. And then finally, Pisek. I did get that right? Whew. Okay, finally, I think this is the last one. Still looks nice. Sign, I don't know, J-Mart carpet linoleum, is it in business? Okay, sign, just update the sign so it's obvious. You know, I mean, that one there, that's not in business. That's in business? I thought that had been closed for 20 years. Because look, it's got weeds all the way around it. The sign, I mean, nothing is updated. There's no hours or anything. Wow. See what I mean? I mean, how much sales are these communities missing? Luckily, the locals will know. But anybody looking to live there would go, wow, nothing here. I think that's an awesome little building, you know, for somebody. And so I think you get the point of like these, they need to just come down. And somebody has to take the lead on doing that. This one here, but look at it from the eyes of visitors. Would you go in there? I mean, I got to tell you. So finally, I just want to talk about 5 minutes for marketing, and I promise I'm done. I took a lot of your time. Sorry about that. Number one thing I'm going to do for the Rendezvous region, you need to do an RVer's guide. That would tell us where can we buy, where are the campgrounds, propane, groceries, hardware. Remember, RVers shop like locals. Where can we get those? You know what? I have to tell you this, is the other day, I didn't realize our propane tanks are down. And is it Simonson or something in Grafton? I went to Tractor Supply. Must be one of the only tractor supplies in the country that does support. You know what? I had to drive to Grand Forks to get propane. Park River, but I called Park River, the Cenex in Park River, and the girl on the phone said, the guy who does propane doesn't work on weekends. So see what I mean? But I didn't know it. I had to call. If I would have had this, I would have known. I would have known. I was like, really? And when it comes to marketing this whole region, I want you to do, pick your season, pick your passion. You pick the season, then we'll tell you what's available, what's open, what's available, where the best ice fishing is, where the best fat tire biking might be in the winter. I mean, there's no and there you go, winter. See, September through May, then we have June, July, and August. Just kidding. Just kidding. Okay, there you go. And by the way, that was a local that put me up to that. That's what I mean. So, I think you could do awesome this way. There's no reason why you can't be a year-round destination. And you pick your passion. If you pick winter, what do we got? And then you click on any one of those. And then we'll tell you more about it. You know, top 3 ice. And I don't know if these are right. Stump Lake, Larimore, Demand, you know, Red River. I don't know. I just did these just so you could see how this could be laid out. Now, finally, here's the last thing. There is a survey for you to take. Snap a picture of this if you want. But if you go to bit.ly, weigh in now. It's your chance to tell everybody there is an online questionnaire for you. Tell everyone you know about this. Weigh in now. And it is case sensitive. This is your chance to weigh in on your community's future. And so I want you to spread this out to everybody you know. And by the way, I don't care if people in Fargo fill this out, because we do ask them where they're at. I'm curious for what their perceptions are, Walsh County, just like I'm for yours. But I'd like everybody here, and we're going to start publicizing this like crazy now, but this is your chance to weigh in on all the stuff you heard for the last 3.5 hours. You know, and so what you have is awesome. And we want to narrow it down to those top 3 hiking trails, those top 3 golf courses, those people love numbered things. And because then you're being helpful. And by the way, if you say, here's our top 3 golf courses, and by the way, if you like those, go to our website, we've got 3 more. That's how you do it. Otherwise, we're going to go to other websites. We won't go to yours. You need to do this. And I think these are all things you could do. You could do an antiques trail where people go around. They go to antique shops. You know, I mean, whatever it takes to get people to come here. You know, and then on our way. So remember, we talk about tourism. It's on our way. Where can we gas up? Where can we pick up supplies? Where can we have lunch or dinner? Or where should we stay? What else to do while we're there? And all of these are getting people to spend money in your towns. That's the benefit of tourism. And with that, where do we go from here? Let us know. If you're in a town and said, Roger, that was really fascinating, but leave us out of it. We're okay. And then that's fine. Let us know. Or if, create a Grafton team. I want every town should, don't leave it up to Red River Region and the county teams to do it for every community. Every community should have a destination Grafton team. And you'll go through these suggestions. I already gave to Stacy this whole presentation. And I even saved them all as slides. And we're going to give you all the photography, everything. And then you could say, well, we should do this one or this one or this one or this one. There was nothing in there that's expensive. Nothing. But I got to tell you that 3/4 of your businesses that were open, we didn't even know. We wouldn't have known. And there was no invitation to say, please come back. I mean, I was just shocked at that. And so, you know what? This is where you go from here. I will be back in the spring. So I know you're saying, well, you did be here in January. But we're going to be back here in the spring with a plan. So between now and then, we want to hear from you. The regional council wants to hear from you. I mean, amazing people don't happen in almost every single place I've worked. It's always been 1 or 2 people that really make a difference. And none of this was rocket science that I showed you. Tourism, downtown chambers, these all represent the private sector. And that's what this is about. This is about creating jobs. So I think for every town, you should create a team that might have these people on it. If you have any of these people, you can even have county people on it. But I believe that every town should create a little team. And I would load it with as many young people as you can because they're your future. They're your future. And so, you're far more powerful as one loud voice as opposed to a bunch of little voices, even in your town. Because this is the typical economic development express. Really clipping along, aren't they? But when you're working from a list like this, say, okay, let's get a team together. Let's start going down the lists. Which ones can we do? A lot of these, most of these were pointed at private businesses. It's not, when I hear business say, city, what are you doing for me lately? I go, whoa, 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 what are you doing for yourself? And so it's working with that because when you do this, get everybody on the same page, pulling the same direction, you will go from that to that. And that's what this whole thing is about. And with that, what do I got? Here's to making an even better, thriving place to live, work, invest in, and visit. And that is it finally. Thank you very much.